with my playing. I'd never done anything like that, and I had to learn dynamics and playing quietly and playing to the room, and it was definitely a learning process.
And learning how to underplay.
Yep.
You know, because a lot of that is
more.
just being in the pocket, right? It's
100%.
all pocket drumming.
Yep.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Metal Maniacs Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Ingersoll, and I'm here with a man that's on the road again.
It's your boy, Modd.
What's up, buddy?
Oh, man, good to see you. Good morning.
Good to see you, too. And speaking of on the road again, today we have a very special guest, near and dear to my heart. I've known this dude for a long, long time, and I think this conversation is going to be fun. This guy is a drummer. There's a few drummers that I see, and I'm like, man, I really wish I could play with this guy. For one of the main reasons, not only is, people say talent or whatever, I know this dude works his ass off all the time.
Yeah.
So a little bit of talent, a little bit of hard work. But when you play in a band with somebody and you show up, you want to play with people that are better than you, right? To make you good.
Yeah.
And this is that guy. He is a very near and dear friend to my heart. We've been friends for a long, long time. And I genuinely care about this dude. There's not much more I can say, but he's an awesome dude, fucking badass drummer, super hard worker, and I respect the shit out of him, and it's glad to have him here. So, Daine Hammerle, thanks for coming to the show,
dude.
buddy.
The crowd goes wild somewhere, right?
we'll edit it in.
Cool.
The laugh track.
Yeah, dude. I share the same sentiments, dude. We've been friends for a very long time, and we've been through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff together.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
But we're still here, and we're still hanging, and we still got lots of love for each other. Same with you, Modd, dude.
Aww,
you know what I mean?
I appreciate you.
We have grown pretty close. I think, especially over the last couple of years, we don't see each other as much, probably as we all would like to. But when we do, it's nothing but love. So really do love this show. I watch almost every single episode. I love what you guys are doing for the scene. This might be a little less metal than, what you're used to, but, I definitely play metal as well. So we'll cover a lot of bases. I'm just happy to be here, dude.
Yeah, hell
Thanks
yeah,
for having me out.
Yeah, it might be a little less metal, but I think it's going to be musician oriented to the max.
For sure.
That's going to apply to all the metalheads listening.
Yep.
So I'll just say that right up front because this was in my mind when I was taking my walk this morning. I'm like, kind of, how are we going to get in front of this? Mostly this is going to be for like drummers, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk a little bit about Daine. I want to dive into a little bit of your story.
Yep.
But, the title of this will be something like being a professional drummer or,
maybe working
advice
musician.
for
I
exactly.
think a lot of
Working
this advice
musician.
could cross the board to other players. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
For sure.
So, but it'll be heavily oriented on the drums because you're a drummer and a badass drummer, like I said. So,
Thank you.
Let's, the last time you were on the show was when Dies was coming back. So almost 2 years ago,
2
right?
years ago, yeah. November will be 2 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was the last time you were on the show. Since then, Dies has been on a few times. You've been busy, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But, dude, I don't remember if we talked about this on that episode, but it's been so long. It's been 2 years. You guys were probably episode around 50 or 40, maybe even 30. I don't know. It was early. Yeah. So, why don't you just give me a little backstory about you and getting into playing and your passion for it? Because
just in general,
in general, you're playing. Just kind of take us back.
Yeah. We can go way back.
Yeah.
I was probably in middle school. I was a band geek. I grew up with my grandparents. We were forced to be in band. At the time, I despised it, but looking back, I grew to love it. And looking back on it, I wouldn't trade that for anything. I played trombone, so I learned how to read sheet music and learned note values and all that stuff. I wanted to play drums. Band director wouldn't let me. We had a million drummers. I don't know if anybody was in band, but everybody wanted to play drums. Yeah. So they usually threw the, disruptive kids in the back on the drums. But I was a good trombone player, so I was kept there. My sister took me to my first metal show in the Pentwater Auditorium when I was in 7th grade, and she would have been in high school. But all those cats that were playing were they ended up playing in the Nain Rouge and Today I Wait.
Oh.
And eventually Bart went to go on to Black Dahlia Murder. So they were all in different bands. Anomaly was one band. Biddy's Love Monkey was the other. Workhorse. And then Chantel's band, the Hombres.
Oh, okay.
Was her and Carmen. And that was the moment that I saw Dave, rest in peace, Booper, playing drums. And he had a double kick, black pearl drum set. And I was just like, this is what I want to do.
Still want to play drums.
I still want to play drums. And it was just that like visceral, heavy music that I didn't know that people did that locally, and I was just a kid. So I walked away from that changed for sure. Begged my grandma. Me and Ephraim didn't know. Ephraim's my brother. He plays in Dies. We didn't know who was going to play bass, who was going to play drums. And it was really just like a roll of the dice. And Ephraim was like, I'll play bass if you want to play drums. Begged my grandma to buy me a kit. Promised her that we'd play in the church if she bought us our musical instruments. Never did. Started a punk rock band.
Damn. Nothing more
love
punk
you, Grandma.
than that.
I love you, Grandma. She's still with us, and I did go back years later to play in the church. But
I was going to say, Gabriel's at the gate right here.
Right.
Didn't play in the church.
See ya, bud.
We needed percussion that Sunday too, Daine.
Yeah. Fucking floor drops open.
No drum sets.
Well,
in
at least
hell,
I'll see
buddy.
all the homies down there. You know what I mean?
Been waiting on you, Daine.
Only grind bands down there too, buddy.
and bad deathcore.
And bad deathcore.
No melody.
That was the genesis, and that was kind of the or the catalyst, I suppose, for me wanting to play heavy music. And then as time went on, we started our punk bands and get into high school. Got involved in a cover band.
Okay.
Me and Ephraim got picked up by these older guys. Started playing the bars in Muskegon, Blue Note, and all that shit at a very young age, which I think informed me very well to get ready to play long nights. Learning covers is always a good thing, I think. It just teaches you different songwriting techniques. Players play different, song formula, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, long story short, middle school, decided to be a drummer, started playing, I don't know, kind of seriously, did the cover band thing, and then If He Dies started when I was probably 18, 19. And that was, out of school, out of the house.
Yeah. Started
Time
rocking.
to take over the world.
Yeah.
That was the mentality.
Yeah. So that's a great backstory, having Granny buy you the instruments and fucking didn't know what you were going to play and fucking, I mean, I think you guys picked the right instruments, if I would say so.
I think we did too. Shout out to Ephraim. He's a hell of a bass player.
He is.
Did you have any interest in ever fucking around with anything else besides drums, like pick up a guitar or bass, or you're just like, man, I'm just going to focus on the drums?
I think I just was having so much fun the first time I sat down and played drums that I didn't know what I was doing, but I found that I was able to do the AC/DC beat before, because I'd have all my friends come over. They're like, you got a drum set, and nobody seemed to be able to play the thing because drums are hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was very dedicated to, that was just a time before YouTube and before internet, really. We didn't have internet. So it was a lot of watching music videos, taping music videos off of TV, looking at a lot of magazines to see drummers' setups. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. They were going to shows when I could to watch how drummers did things. I just loved it from the get-go, man. There's just something about it that I've always loved. I feel like it's a very expressive instrument.
Go ahead, buddy.
When did the MC lyrical thing come into your life?
That came in. We can flash forward a little bit. That was after If He Dies broke up, like 20.
I didn't know there was something maybe carried with you for a long time. Always a fan.
Oh, I've always loved hip hop, man.
Yeah. When did you really discover that you wanted to be on the mic, though?
Well, I would always rap in my room and stuff, like in middle school. Like, you get those first. I mean, Doggy Style and The Chronic were just as important to me as like Deftones and Korn's first records. You know what I mean? And I don't know why it was something that was taboo. I'd never heard anything like it. I was attracted to the Dre beats, obviously.
Oh yeah.
And just I don't know what it is about lyricism. It can paint such a picture just using this as your instrument.
Yeah. Those two albums had great production.
Yeah.
Like great melodies in them, so it made those songs a lot more quality than maybe the average run of the mill of that style of music. But I can still hear weenie in my head. Right? Like it's
totally, dude.
That's how iconic it is. Like 30 plus years removed from it. Like
and back then, I didn't know they were stealing from their influences. You know what I mean? All that Parliament Funkadelic and Delphonics and all that old stuff.
Yep.
I've always loved hip hop, just as much as I've loved metal. So when we broke up with Dies back in 2000 and 9 or whatever. I don't know
8
now.
or 9.
8 or 9.
Yeah.
I still had just like stuff left in the tank, and I was getting sober, and I just used it kind of as like my journal to keep doing music. And I ended up meeting a bunch of people in that scene, and it was a very collective thing when I worked on these first couple like Douanier records that I did. It was super inspiring because everybody was like on the same page, and we were all helping each other. They were all helping me. I'd never done this shit. So like, and I mean, that can go even further back to when you probably still have some recordings when I would come over here. That was actually my first time trying to like spit on a mic when I did stuff with you.
Yeah.
Like, and that was years before I released anything.
Yep.
So that was very like informative to me because like, just like anything else, you're not going to get better at recording until you do it.
Right.
And you start hearing all the things that are bugging you, or inflections, or, you know, even how you play an instrument, you know.
Yeah, rap is weird too, because a lot of times you hear it in your head and you're like, that makes complete sense. You're like, the flow is there, you get it all down. And then as soon as you go spit it in the mic, something doesn't work. And there's too many words. And so it is a real craft within itself to perfect, to know too many words you're using, or cutting out this and syllables. You can get real intricate with it.
Or even how to record it. You know, I was a big fan of like all the Def Jux stuff, like LP and, you know, A$AP Rock and Cage. And a lot of those dudes, you listen to their old stuff and it's like punch one line, punch another line. So like there's an art form to that too, because sometimes that sounds better than just trying to get through a whole verse.
Because those lines, they'll overlap by a shade.
Yep.
Just so you can get the full
totally
word out at the end. And so the next line will come in just like right under that last shade of a syllable. But I hear that a lot in hip hop.
Totally.
And that kind of hip hop is very conducive to the live environment, where you're going to have the backup MC and they're going to actually spit the lyrics, and they're going to actually, you know what I mean? They'll back them up on that. So. But we could have a whole other podcast about that.
We could do a whole hip hop.
I had to squeeze it in. I don't think we brought it up yet on the show.
No, and also just one last thing though, it's very percussive. Like,
right.
It's very percussive. So like, I could kind of think of patterns and like, you know, dotted eighth notes or eighth notes here for my da 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 da, you know, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So I feel like it gave me, I don't know, a little more of a leg up just to have a little bit of rhythmic, I don't know, accessibility and knowledge.
And that's hip hop is just all rhythm anyway.
Totally,
you know, obviously great melody, like you said, those iconic melodies, but it's at the end of the day, it's just all about the beat. So you listen to the beat, you know, so it's always there.
Us metalheads love hip hop.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to say it's a guilty pleasure. I don't have enough of it in my collection. I just know that some of it it's not interesting enough. But then when I hear something I like, I'm like,
you can't help but to do the same thing you do when you hear Nasty Groove, right?
I'm a music lover first, so if it's got a good melody and a good beat, I'm a sucker for it. I'll love it. I'll immediately gravitate toward it. It's fine.
Yeah. Yep.
So I know we did talk about history in that early Dies podcast about Dies.
Yep.
So you got into Dies. That was kind of your first real thing after the cover band and all that, right?
Yep.
And you guys did a lot in a short amount of time, right? You went on tour. You were doing a lot of things. Then the band basically
just kind of imploded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're all in our 20s dealing with different things.
A little bit of recklessness. Yeah. If you guys want to go back and listen to that episode, I'll put it in the little tag or whatever. But because we did get into all that. But yeah, the band imploded. And then at that time, then you started doing the rap thing, like Modd alluded to. And then after that, what happened?
Well, after like the hip hop thing, I just got to a point with that where like it was becoming very just like, is autobiographical the word or biographical?
Autobiographical is you about you, on you.
It was becoming more of a vessel for me to deal with my problems, which isn't a bad thing, but it was very personal to me. You know, I did that 1 year in the Clear mixtape, and that was all about me being sober for a year and the difficulties and the things that I dealt with, good and bad. And then the next record wasn't supposed to be this, but it was called Pop Rocks, and it was basically a tribute to my sister who passed, like while we had just started, me and Tommy just started recording that project, and it was kind of more of like an emo rap thing we were calling it, but that happened, and it just changed the trajectory of that whole project. So now I look back on that project, I'm the most proud of that project, probably out of anything I've done, just because of the work I know we put into it and what it means to me, but it took a lot out of me, dude, you know, and I just kind of lost interest in wanting to perform any of it. You know, I felt like I put out this really good record, but I didn't want to go out and like, get into that headspace of talking about my sister who had passed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like as I'm hearing you tell it, like it's good to get it out and have it, chronicled. But then like going out every night and reliving it is totally different state of mind. Like I got it out and I said what I had to say, but I don't want to go out there and do the book tour and tell everybody this every night. You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
I get that.
And
when
like
it's
it
that
wasn't,
personal.
hip hop to me is supposed to be, not supposed to be, but it's like feel good, let's connect. And I just wasn't writing anything that was like, not about me.
Right.
You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like, I just didn't feel like I was connecting in a way that I wanted to. And, but I listen to that record every year, around the anniversary of her. And
Nice.
like, it still makes me fucking bawl and I'm proud of it. And it makes me think of her. So
Fuck yeah.
I'm
That's
very
awesome.
happy about it. Yeah.
That's awesome that you could like do something like that for a loved one, write a whole album in their name. I don't think many people have that in their pocket. Like maybe they'll write a note or a letter, but you can dole out the whole work.
Well, it was like I couldn't stop at that point.
Yeah,
You
sure.
know what I mean? And I was really grateful for Tommy for being on board through all that.
Shout out Tommy.
Yeah, shout out Tommy. Yeah, love you, man.
Yeah. And then for me, so I was doing kind of hip hop too. I was doing some live stuff. I had the
Both
live
you guys.
drummer and stuff. And
Both
like,
you guys just killing me with the hip hop.
Yeah.
I'm like watching on the sidelines, like, come back to
guys,
metal.
come
Come back to metal, please.
I mean, I was producing my ass off and doing a bunch of stuff too. But I kind of got to the point where I was like, man, I'm like 35, 36, 30, around. I'm like, how much more am I really going to go rap? Like, it's a little different, I think, with the metal game and playing stuff, but it's like, I'm late to the game on a lot of this. So it's kind of like, I just didn't, me personally, I just didn't kind of feel comfortable being a 37-year-old man trying to get out there and do a bunch of hip hop shows.
Dude, I feel
hip hop's
that.
real young man's game. Like
Totally.
unless you're already a legacy artist like the Snoop or whatever, and you can go out there when you're 50. I just feel like if you're not grinding on it when you're 20, you could say that about metal and like going on tour and stuff too. But I just felt more comfortable of like, hey, my band's just gonna go play, once or twice a month and just, kind of what we're talking about before. But that's where my headspace was at.
I completely understand that. And another thought I had was like, I don't know, take this how you will, but like as I become more socially aware as I get older, I'm just like, is this really my art form? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
I know exactly what you mean.
is this why don't I let the professionals do this?
Right.
That I don't know how to say it other than that, man.
No,
Like,
no, you're absolutely right. So you grew up rocking metal
Mhm.
and you liked hip hop throughout, but you gravitated towards the band and you felt comfortable behind the drums.
Yep.
I can relate to that as well because when I was doing all the producing and really grinding and doing my own hip hop and everybody else's, in the back of my mind, I'm always like, I'm a metal dude first. That's why this podcast came about, because I'm an expert at metal, but I can tell you about some rap stuff that I know about, but I'm not an expert at rap stuff. I'm
Totally.
I'm not the be all end all guy of metal either, but I know way more and been studying it for years and know all these bands, and I'm just like, that is my calling, like what you were saying, you know. So I can relate to that big time, dude. Then you just feel more comfortable behind the kit. So now were you drumming at?
I wasn't drumming a whole lot at this point. I spent like 3 to 5 years really like writing, recording. I tried to do some live musicians. You know how hard that is.
Oh yeah.
It's a little easier to do like if you're doing a band, but when you're trying to get people to back you personally, it's a whole nother story. I had a lot of good people in my corner. I wasn't really playing drums. And then when I stopped doing that, it kind of just fizzled out. I didn't make a conscious decision to be like, I'm stopping doing this. I mean, I'll even sit and scribble some stuff out still to this day.
Right.
But like, I'm not trying to write raps. RJ Nordland, do you know him?
No.
He lives up in Montague now. He is a partial owner of North Grove Brewers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know the name, but I can't picture the face.
He's a great singer-songwriter, and he was looking for a band to record this batch of tunes he had. I was out in Grand Rapids at this time, and I don't know how I got linked with him, but we ended up starting this kind of ragtag group called Nordland and the Nomads, RJ Nordland and the Nomad Assembly. And he is just a phenomenal songwriter. And I met this guy named Justin who played guitar. Never knew him before. And this is my first go back at drums, so I was having fun. Like, and it was totally different. It wasn't metal. It was, more country tinge singer-songwriter stuff.
Yeah.
And we recorded these tunes. I met Justin. That band dissolved after about a year. We played a handful of shows. I was like, okay, I want to play drums again. And then at that point, there was a band called Big Duty Roo that Justin was in. and they had been playing Grand Rapids, and they were more like a Pearl Jam inspired, kind of like an alternative, rock group.
Kind of grungy.
Kind of grungy, yep.
Rock.
And their longtime drummer had left. I met Justin through RJ's thing. He played guitar for Big Duty Roo. And they were playing kind of big shows in Grand Rapids. Like they were playing Founders, and they were, they had been playing forever. So I got into that world, which also introduced me to like the Michigan Summer Festival world, like Hoxeyville and Buttermilk Jamboree and Farm Block Festival. And
like the jams and shit.
Kind of like the jammy.
Like the Wheatland and those type things.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I saw what a different world that I had no idea was out there. So really after the hip hop thing, I got introduced to singer-songwriter type stuff. And that's where that journey kind of started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With my playing. I'd never done anything like that. And I had to learn dynamics and playing quietly and playing to the room. And, it was definitely a learning process.
And learning how to underplay.
Yep.
You know, because a lot of that is just being in the pocket, right? It's 100%. All pocket drumming.
Yeah,
it's that, and there's subtleties and nuance where you're not trying to blast and grind and really like impress people with speed and power, but more just touch and
consistency
finesse.
And finesse.
Yeah, always being where you're supposed to, but able to add a little bit more to it up top, just a little je ne sais quoi.
Yeah,
exactly. Just a nice little, and that I think. You're a perfect drummer for that style because you do a lot up top. Nothing wrong with the feet at all at the bottom. But when I think of a death metal drummer, that's not really your.
It's not really my bag.
Not really your wheelhouse.
Totally.
You're not blasting
I'm not
and grinding. And you're
Nope.
not doing like all this crazy footwork. You're capable of it plenty fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could do it.
Yeah, you're plenty fine on the feet. But what I've always loved about your drumming is how much you do up top. I'm like, he's got to be tired. Jesus, he's got to be. He's doing so much up top. Like,
well, that's Dies gave me the avenue to do that. But playing in these other, as we move forward in time, playing with the singer-songwriter thing has informed my playing in such good ways. I feel like consistency is something I'm always going to preach. Is like, some people do want a flashy dude, but most people don't. Most people want a drummer to be consistent through and through.
No, you're absolutely right.
So it taught me that, and that's if I can jump ahead a little bit, we can get into this now. But like, it helped me a lot, but in a way, it took away my slamming playing, which I have learned that most bands want a rock drummer to hit hard.
Oh yeah,
they don't have to be. It's not a metal band. I'm talking just like rock bands.
Yeah.
They want you to play that backbeat hard. They want volume. So I had to relearn how to play hard again too.
So just real quick, I think even in metal bands, so Matt from Norma Jean, I was listening to him on a podcast, and he was talking about how he was in the studio with Will Putney, and he was so impressed by like the way he was hitting the drums like really hard, like through the snare, and I've heard that story a lot of times. And we just went out Friday, we went to the Recorruptor show, and that's
do they have a new drummer? Recorruptor?
No, he was just on a tour with them. Yeah. Josh is still playing.
He's still playing with them.
But Colin from Throne, I always bring his name up. That's what I love about his drumming is even though he's grinding, his hits are consistent all the way across and they're hard. And then when he goes into a groove beat, he don't half-ass that snare.
Yeah.
That snare every time is pow, pow.
Yep.
It's not because you lose it if you do that once and then the next time you come and just ka, ka. Nope, you need that hard hitting. I just think it's more and more. You got to find that balance. I understand with the speed because it's a lot of finesse and it's a lot of endurance and it's, it takes a lot out of you, but you also have to have that power in there.
You do. And it took me a minute to get that back, We're going to talk about this, I'm sure, but I'm playing with the Verve Pipe now. And the first couple shows, Brian Vander Ark, the main guy, we're sound checking and he turned around. He's like, is that as hard as you're going to hit? And it was,
it's hurt the ego.
Well, yeah, but that's fucking important, dude.
Yeah.
It is important to have these conversations, and like no one's perfect and everyone makes mistakes. Not that I was making a mistake, but I didn't understand the role yet. We didn't have many. We practiced in a small, tiny room. I think we only had a rehearsal before I was expected to go out and do 2 or 3 dates with them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, just to make sure they knew I knew the songs.
Right.
But I wasn't. We don't hit in rehearsal like we do live. So like, as soon as he said that, and I was like, okay, like I can be myself. You know what I mean? I just got to hit a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But that being said, you got to still have that dynamic awareness,
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
hit hard when it matters, you know? Like,
Really dynamic band too, especially with their newer material.
Totally.
I sit there and listen to it, and I'm like, oh, these guys have come a long way. And I can see where you got to like really hang back and wait to even do anything. Sometimes maybe it's just might just be bells up top for or even a marimba or a little hand,
anything, shakers, all that stuff.
Sometimes it feels like you just got to wait before your role comes in. So there's a lot of patience involved.
And just letting it breathe, and that can be letting it breathe can be slamming that snare and like all the in between where your right hand. You know what I mean? Like being aware of every single hit is important. And I think so many people check out when they're on stage because they just let the muscle memory take over. But if you're really in it, and you're really playing with your bandmates, every show should be fun, regardless of whatever struggles you're against. Like the sound is shit, whatever. Like, I truly believe that every show should have that element of fun in it too.
You're basically saying you're serving the song. That's sometimes you don't have to play.
Yeah.
So, but so singer-songwriter world, doing that for a while.
For a long time,
Yep. So you were just kind of doing some jams and all
doing
that.
Some jams.
That was kind of almost about the time that we kind of had lost touch. Right after right around there for a little while.
Totally. And I mean,
because you
Grand
moved,
Rapids and Muskegon
happens,
isn't that far, but it kind of is when you're like working musically with people. You know what I mean?
And life happens, kids. Yep. Everybody's going through changes. Stuff happens. But then when you guys you did that for a long time, and then Dies comes back. Is that kind of where we're at now?
Well, we still got to get to through that band Big Duty Roo. I played a lot of shows with them, and the front man for that group put together the Tom Petty tribute band.
Okay, there we go.
And that was supposed to be a one-off. I wasn't even the first drummer that he asked. I was the second. The first guy said no. Dan from the Crane Wives, who have blown up completely now. I don't know if you follow them or know anything about them, but they are playing.
I've heard their name though.
2,500 to 5,000 cap rooms and selling them out. Yeah, they had this hit over the pandemic online. I don't know how to explain it other than that, but they're the real deal now.
Nice, sweet. That's cool.
So yeah, the fact that he said no, I mean, it's all fate too. Like if he would have said yes, who knows where the Crane Wives would have been, or if he, so I said yes, and I'm glad I said yes because that gig, I don't know if I've told anybody yet, but I'm no longer on that gig. I don't play with the Insiders anymore.
Okay.
And I just made that decision 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. So you and I had talked a little bit, but we can expound on that because we were when I seen you at Unruly, we were talking about that outside. So. Yeah.
I feel like this has to do with some of that conversation that maybe we had outside of Unruly as well. But
Yep.
Good gig.
Great gig.
I was hoping to see you in it. I'm actually
still go see the band. They're great.
Boo, Daine's better. Your drummer sucks. Get the old one back. He's like,
Jeff is a great drummer. The guy to have now.
Just get a bunch of hecklers now.
Yeah.
just two Daine fans, me and Modd. Boo.
Daine's behind us.
They're a great band, man, and I'm glad I did it. I was with them for 7 years, man. I did that gig for 7 years, and it paid a lot of bills, and I learned a lot. We were on in-ears. I learned a lot about the in-ear monitor system. I love playing on ears. Just playing with great musicians was good for me. I just knew it was my time to go,
So was this your first, like, we're paying the bills with the drumming type thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
So when you started this at this time, this was kind of new. Like, okay, now I'm making money off of my skill of playing drums.
Yep.
Daine, real quick, when I got to that moment, because I was in a cover band, I was like, how could I ever go back to putting the time and energy into an original band?
Right.
Like, I get it. Oh, what a sellout playing the covers. Well, hey, look, man, I'm living on minimum wage so that I can have the time to be a musician. Yep. And then with that time, I improve my craft. And then I go out and I perform at the bar. And I entertain people for 3 hours a night. And then I take home around $100 a night. So if you do 2 weekends in a month, well, that's $400 in your pocket. That's a paycheck, or it was then anyway, like a smaller paycheck. But man, I tell you what, it helped with the bills.
Yeah.
It helped
absolutely.
keep the internet on.
You're playing. That's the thing. Is like, I understand people's like, I'd never be in a cover band, but I also don't. You know what I mean?
Anymore.
Like,
after I've done it and I made money and I've had fun doing it.
You're polishing your skills. If you're really in the game and checked in, you should be at least. You know what I mean? You should be learning every single night. like I said, I played with the click track. I played with musicians that were better than me.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? All that stuff that's
Yep.
super important. And I was able to pay my bills. And it was the first realization of like, okay, I can focus more now on playing drums and doing this thing. And I was able to like, you know, right now I play music and I work at a music venue and that's all I do.
Mhm.
You know, there's some side hustles here and there. I got to DJ a wedding in a
Mhm.
couple weeks and stuff like that. Everybody has side hustles, but
Still musically related.
still musically related.
Right.
And that wasn't without a lot of like trial and error and support from my partner, from my family. Because not everybody has that too. You know what I mean? That's a big leap, but I didn't do it until things had been in motion and I looked ahead at the calendar a year and I was like, okay, I can do this.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can not go to that restaurant job that is just killing every
Sucking
fiber
your soul.
inside of me, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that either. You
No.
got to do what you got to fucking do to
There's
survive. But like,
you're absolutely right.
I was just like, you know, in my 30s working with a bunch of 20-year-olds that barely showed up to work, you know.
And you're trying to grind it
I'm
out
trying
there.
to grind
and,
there and then,
And then out of work, you're trying to grind too.
And then having a family. You
Oh, yeah.
guys know, dude.
Yeah.
That's, you know, I'll never think that my time is more valuable because I have a family, but like, people without kids don't fucking get it.
But that's also, Nick actually on our way home, we were talking about that a lot. That's some of the most important time
yes.
in your life, period. Because
That's
when
the
you're
balance.
dying, you're not going to say, man, I mean, you might say, I wish I played drums more because that's how much you love it.
Right,
And,
right.
you know, same with music. But one of the things you know, they always say is, I wish I would have spent more time with my family. So you got to cherish that time because those kids grow up fast. They get older quicker. They're out of the house before you know it. And that's all cliche shit to say, but you gotta still put that time in.
Oh, you have to, and you have to have that balance.
Yeah,
dude.
like you got to be the leader of your family. You have to be the person there teaching your kids things. You know, it's like it's cool if you want to, you know, be a rock star or go play or whatever. But if you decided to have a family, that time spent curating that family and growing that family, that's just as important as anything else.
Absolutely.
So,
and all that will inform each other. If you're happy with
Exactly.
what you're doing, it makes it easier to be happy with your family. If your family's supportive of what you're doing, it makes it easier to be in the band.
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I know a lot of people that want to play, but like, they're like, my wife or my girlfriend, you know, doesn't, you know, and it's like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, but I also don't.
No, I
You
don't.
know?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Because if they love you and they see that passion and
Yeah.
you're not just out dicking around and, you know, you don't even have to be making a bunch of money, but if that is truly what you want in your heart, man, I feel like your partner should understand that.
Yeah, and
know?
I don't want to go too far off on a tangent, but like musicians and non-musicians are just two different. Like one's an alien compared to the other because they don't really understand. Like if you've been on stage or you've been in a room with your boys, even just wrote a sweet riff, or you know what I mean,
You
or
can't
just had
compare
that
it to anything.
goosebumps where you're like, I just play that show like really badass, or perform that lick that I haven't been. People just don't understand if they never done that, man.
And that's
you
okay.
know? And that's
And that's
okay.
okay,
You know,
man.
that's what makes us all people. But that's where some of that non-support comes from because they don't really understand how much that really means to somebody.
Right,
And then some
right.
people are just good with reserving that and just saying, it's fine. I don't, the wife says I can't, you know, instead of blowing up the whole fam because they can't play music. But
For sure.
it's important if.
I feel like when you're in a family, you need to have that one outlet.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be able to sit down and say, what's your thing? When do you do that? And then here's my thing. This is when I'd like to do that. You still want to be able to get out and have a bit of your own life, if you will.
Yeah.
But, you know, you can't just throw everything aside.
Yeah.
No.
Quality time, family time. Oh, I'm supposed to do this with my wife and kid. We had this plan. Like, I can't override. You have to not override that.
Yeah.
Totally.
You have to be able to say, no, Saturdays are sacred when I'm not gigging. I'm with my family all day.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but people that don't have families and you say they don't understand, there's no way they could.
Yeah.
Right.
They have no comprehension of what it means to like have a kid or
Yeah.
a wife counting on you for so many things. And yeah, like you think you might be able to put down the kid or stop playing for the sake of the family. I can't, and I have the family, and I hardly play, but I know I want to. More than anything,
Right.
I got to get out there. It's in my blood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Snake bite.
Right.
Once you feel it, like you
Yeah.
gotta always play. So
Yep.
I think that it's just finding that balance, really. And you've had so many projects. How do you juggle it?
I have a lot of support, so
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. But
Nice.
So you're making some money doing the Insiders, right?
Yep.
And so was this the main gig for a while? This was what you were
the main
just doing?
gig. Yeah, this was the main gig, and it kept going up. And I believe that they'll continue to do their thing, and it'll get better, and they'll get better gigs because that's just been the trajectory of the band.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with that being said, I think they're going to go for, they're looking into a different booking agent and playing more, which is fine. I'm all about playing more. But I just needed to step away, dude. My heart wasn't into it.
Okay.
My heart was not into it. And I did it for a long time with my heart not being into it. And it was a very hard decision looking at the financial aspect. And that comes the support, I have a partner that's very supportive and she believes in me. And sometimes it just takes that little push to be like, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine.
Right.
And it was one of the easiest decisions I ever made. I just woke up and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I stopped doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a tough balance when you're tethered by that income from it, though, too, as well. That make, because you're like, I'm still playing music for money, but also we walk that fine line of art's art, man. And when it becomes a job, you're no longer really the artist. You're more of it's more of a job. It's more of a thing where
we were
I
a
have
tribute
to do
band,
it.
so that's not like I'm out there. I can still put my heart into it, but like when it's the same set every single time,
right?
I'm not really getting much out of that besides a paycheck, and that's okay to do too.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
like
respect that, man.
And yeah, I've part of me is freaked out that I sacrificed a large paycheck, but I wasn't gonna sacrifice my morals in different ways that I don't really need to get into.
Well, that's fine
for a paycheck.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I also feel like just regardless of the occupation, like when you're sick of the job, you're done showing up.
Yeah.
Like there's no coworkers that I like, there's no boss that I like, there's no work in the job that I like. So when you hit that wall and you're looking at all these things, you're like, I just don't want to be here anymore. That's when it's time to get honest with yourself and say, how much notice do you guys need? Like, can I get out today? Do you need 2 weeks?
Well, I knew that they have subs for everybody but the main guy. So like that was I knew that the sub loved the gig.
Sure.
And he's totally capable of doing it. He's a great drummer. He already played in another band with the guitar player in that band. Pretty seamless transition, if you ask me. I didn't leave anyone in the lurch.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't think it was a surprise to many people within the band. And honestly, right after that, that opened the door for me to be the Verve Pipe's main dude now.
Okay.
So it was one thing led to another.
Yeah. So that was exactly what we were talking about because there was an availability issue between the two because I'm sure that comes up as well, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Totally.
So that's
totally
an issue. So doing the Insiders, making money, whatever. Then Dies comes back. Right. So that's kind of where we're at with timeline.
I think when we decided to do our reunion thing, we were all excited, of course, because we hadn't seen each other in forever.
Yeah. And
then it was just exciting to do the music again, but it also like opened my mind up to like, oh yeah, the creative world. You know what I mean?
My art.
Yeah. Where I get to do whatever I want to do.
Yes.
And nobody can tell me different unless we're agreeing as a band on something. You know what I mean?
It also helps that Dies is probably one of the most popular bands in the heavy genre, at least from this side of the state, maybe Grand Rapids over. You know what I mean? Like you guys always draw. You guys came back after so many years and you still have all of that support, still all those people that come out to shows.
Yeah,
so that does help too. That
absolutely
jump because it's different if you're just starting from scratch and you're like, oh, we got to try to build a fan base. We got to let people know about our band. Maybe 5 years fucking around with this until someone shows up sometime. You know what I mean? That's all a growing thing too. So it does help that Dies kind of had that built-in.
Oh, yeah. We had a built-in, and people were excited about the reunion and like...
And everybody's doing a reunion now too, and everybody's coming back. So it's just kind of the thing where it's like, oh, all these old bands that I kind of miss or that are my homies or whatever, they're all playing again or whatever. So that helps too,
Absolutely.
But yeah, so Dies comes back.
We're having a good time, but that band has a lot of history. You know what I mean? So with the good comes the bad. We all love each other very much. We do the reunion show. It goes great. We do a video. We do a couple songs. And I think in between this time, I'm just realizing that like I really want to do something original that is physical too.
Yeah.
I want to do something heavy. It doesn't have to necessarily be metal, but I want to write my own music again.
Yes.
You know.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
My own drum parts.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I feel that.
And for you, we've talked about this a little bit. You know, you said you had to grind and put the work in on the feet, and you were putting the hours in because now you're introducing skills that you haven't used in a long time. Because I missed all those double bass parts on that Tom Petty joint, but you know. Oh, that 180 double bass on Last Dance of Mary Jane.
The remix.
The remix.
But yeah.
No, I had to put in a lot of work for that,
Yeah.
man. We decided to do the show, and then I told him I need like 6 to 8 months to even feel comfortable. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I ordered a double bass pedal. I hadn't played one in over a decade,
Oh.
and I seriously felt like physically and mentally impaired when I first sat down with it.
You thought you
know
were
what I
day
mean?
one again, huh?
Dude, it felt like it, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure other drummers can attest. Like, I know so many fire drummers that are like, I don't know what to do with a double kick pedal
Yeah.
because it's a different. I mean, you're balancing different. Your left foot is your left foot.
Yeah.
If you're right-handed, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it'll always
It's
be your
just-
left foot.
It'll always be your left
Do whatever
foot.
it wants
Yep.
sometimes.
And like, you know, a lot of that was sitting down with the metronome at 60 BPMs and just
Click, 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 click,
boop,
click.
boop, boop,
Yeah.
boop. This it seems to be so simple, but like, you know, you're
Yeah.
not going to get speed without slowness. You
Yep.
know,
Not
Absolutely.
good speed.
not good
Yeah.
speed. Now
Yeah,
you can fight
sloppy.
through and like.
Yeah.
So how did you, besides the double kick,
Mhm.
getting back in? So when you're, you know, going back to the heavy project,
Mm-hmm.
Dies, you guys are really heavy, you know. So how did you approach drumming when you got back behind the kit to actually play the heavy stuff? Besides just the double kick stuff,
Yeah.
did you have some enlightening moments because
It
of
was
what
one
you've
of-
learned from playing more with dynamics before?
Yes.
You approach it a different way?
Yes,
or?
exactly. Like where I struggled with hitting hard, I was able to bring in the dynamic aspect for sure. And I think it gave our songs a little more dimension, a little more space. You know what I mean? I don't know how to describe it other than that. I feel like all that playing with the Tom Petty thing and singer-songwriter stuff definitely informed everything that I'm doing with everything else. You know, consistency with time, you know.
Yeah.
I was able to play to a click for a couple of these Dies songs, and it just tightened everything up. And just my natural meter being tighter from
Yeah.
years and years and
Yep.
years and years of having bloop, 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 bloop in my
Yep.
ear. You know what I
Yep,
mean?
exactly.
You know where that snare's supposed to hit, and you know when you're dragging, you know when you're speeding up on fills, all
Yep.
that stuff.
Absolutely.
Definitely was able to bring a lot of that stuff into that world.
Oh yeah. I think that's important in metal too, and it's hard to find drummers that want to play dynamic in metal, but I think that will set, as a metal band, that will set your songs apart way more than a band that just, you know, is like a deathcore band that has 7 songs, and all 7 songs there's no dynamics.
Right.
It's just, you
It's
know,
all-
they might have some stops or some,
Mhm.
you know, one guitar comes in or whatever, and that's as dynamic as they get. But
Yep.
I think being able to kind of like certain parts play a little softer there, even if you're playing a thrash beat, you don't necessarily
You
have
don't
to
have
be
to go to 100
doing
all the
that
time.
all the time. You
Yeah.
might play a little softer, and the guitars could go down, and then you kind
then
of
you
build it up
ramp-
a little.
yes.
You know, that's very important. Or you could just play it the whole time, and you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Then all the dynamics are gone. Then song 1 sounds like song 9, even though it's
Totally.
the same band. So I just, sometimes that gets missed in metal, I think. It's just the dynamics, man. I think even just introducing that a little bit here and there really would set some bands apart.
I
you know?
totally agree with that.
You know?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, I think there definitely could be more room for that. I always appreciate when I see a band that takes me up and down and all around,
Mhm.
even if they're an intense, heavy band, you
Yeah.
know. But, you know, a lot of that is, you know, we can get into talking about recording later or whatever, but like a lot of records that come out nowadays sound very similar.
Yeah.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And that's,
Yep.
Polished, produced.
which there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like I wish more bands would take a chance at not doing that as much, and we're just as guilty as the next band because you want everything to be perfect for the listener.
yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
you want it to be perfect for the
Yep.
listener.
Yeah.
But there's something about letting shit breathe and mistakes, and Ben Folds is celebrating his like 30th anniversary of the first record that they put out when they were actually a band, Ben Folds 5.
Yeah. Falls 5.
And he talks about the recording process and how they were getting courted by all these people, and that the version, they like swindled the record industry into like, they recorded this first version of the album and it was like $3,000 it cost them, but it was all them. It was warts and all. You know what I mean? And then the record company's like, oh, no, I don't know if this is going to work. Let's re-record it. They spent another $17,000 to re-record it. And then they ended up somehow being like, Ben Folds was like, no, we're going to use the first record. We're going to lie to him, or however the story went. And they used that first record that's not perfectly mixed or mastered, or even the parts are wonky.
A little bit of mistake. A little bit of, not everything's on an Evertune bridge and shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's not perfect.
The vocals are a little step back because that's how it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
But he has so much love for that record, and so do a lot of other people out there. That's some people's favorite record. I'd like to see it get back to a little more of a human aspect, but I don't know that that's possible with how perfect music is now.
I think some of it is starting to come back a little bit. It's almost like the AI thing where we're going to get just so sick of seeing artificial shit made,
crazy,
and all we want is stuff that's made by people because we are people. We're not robots, so we don't want robot shit. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing as kind of like the music. I want some of that charm. It doesn't have to be mistakes.
No.
Nick and I just did an episode on old school death metal. There might have been a few mistakes, but these guys were fucking playing because they had to record those parts. And then you listen to it and you're like, Jesus Christ, these guys are recording this in 88 or 92 or whatever.
To tape
like,
with no punch-ins and
right,
shit.
Yeah. So it's like it can be done.
It can be done.
And there's a charm there of it not being perfect on the grid or exactly overproduced where every snare hits just bap, 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 bap.
Yep.
Because then that gets a little weird too, because then you take the dynamics out of it. The drummer isn't playing that consistent over the whole thing. You know what I mean? Because we're just piping in the sample or whatever. But no, absolutely. I think we're going to get back to some of that where we're just going to want to be humans sooner than later.
Yeah, and I'm not saying any of this to dog.
No,
anything,
absolutely, dude.
Because I listen to some recordings, I'm like, this is crazy. This sounds sonically just like incredible, and these heavy parts. Dude, your guys' new tune sounds fucking crazy good.
Thanks, dude.
I slammed it in the van on the way here.
Oh, yeah.
And it hits loud and heavy and hard, you know?
And Iron does have a little bit more of that raw realness to their recording process as opposed to a progressive tech death metal band where everything's on grid, but also just like the waves are perfectly where they need to be, the right size, so they're not clipping and you're not getting any of this, weird distortion or white noise.
The vocals felt very human, and I love that. Yeah.
Larry's always going to keep it real.
I wanted it to not be like just fucking some polished, pristine type thing. I want it to have a little attitude to it where it's not perfect. I like that because that's going to differentiate that recording than to compare it to something else.
Totally.
Or whatever.
Suits the style of music too.
Exactly. But thank you for saying that. I appreciate that,
absolutely,
dude.
dude.
So Dies comes back, jamming and Dies now for the last couple of years. This is how far we are. But when did the Verve Pipe gig kind of happen? Was that?
They've, over the past handful of years, they've had a revolving drum door, right?
So, real quick, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
They went away for a while, or have they been playing this whole time?
They've been playing this whole time. Obviously, the success hasn't been like it was in 1996 or 97. They put out one of the best records of the 90s, in my opinion.
Right.
Villains is a killer record, as are their other ones, but they didn't really go away. They had some internal member changes. You know what I mean? They've had a lot of shifts in people in the band. But probably about 3 or 4 years ago, Brian's brother Brad, who was an original member of the band, decided he wanted to come play music again. And Brian's like, fuck yeah, let's go. My brother's back. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And since then, they've had, since he's been in the band, the guitar player Lou has also been with them longer than their original guitar player now. Lou's been with them for, 12, 15 years or something.
Okay.
And then they had the revolving drum door because it's hard, it's hard to put a band together, and it's they're kind of at that tier where, they're not on buses. So like a lot of the, it costs money to be on the road and go play shows in that band, we're renting a Sprinter van, hotels, all that shit adds up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think Brian was just looking. I know Brian was looking for a guy, but he was having trouble finding it. You know what I mean? Because all these other drummers he had other things going on. Yeah. I mean, Zach Doobie was one of them.
Really? Yeah.
Kid's an absolute alien, dude. He should be on this podcast talking drums.
Dude, that dude is insane.
That kid is going to be a world talent if he's not already.
Every day he posts another video of him playing some other random ass gig. I'm like, this dude just plays drums every day, all day.
He plays drums 26 hours a day.
Literally whatever band. He's just like, you need someone today, I'll play. And he's just like,
Oh,
like,
dude,
I'm like, what the fuck? Every day he posts a video and I just sit there and watch it like, Jesus, kid. And he's like a young ass kid too, ain't he? Like 20,
25, 24,
yeah,
maybe? Maybe.
But
he's moving to Nashville soon, so I think he'll be just fine.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. He'll be on stage with Jelly Roll in 3 years. Watch.
Well, dude, you see, like I watch his Instagram, and I've only met Zach a couple times, but we text and stuff, and like obviously we shared the same gig with the Verve Pipe, so we would message back and forth a little bit. But man, that kid is he's nuts. He's got like Justin Timberlake's drummer commenting fire emojis on his post and shit, dude.
He's
like
cold.
He's next level.
Yeah.
Wow.
But also, that being said, we are totally different in what we do. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He can do anything. I'm all about just consistency. Yeah. You know what I mean? If I can just serve the song and be constant, I think that's a good thing.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
So, yeah, Brian was looking for a drummer, really, and it worked out, really. I mean, I kind of had it in my mind that I thought it could work, but, you know, when I decided to leave the Insiders, I was like, I'm just going to make a pitch to Brian to be like, hey, dude, I'll be your guy. If you want to just like not have to worry about the scheduling thing, because they got a new record out. He just asked me to be in the new video. I don't know if you peeped that yet, but we just released a video.
No. I saw you in it.
I was in it, dude.
Nice long hair.
Yeah,
and I know that guy.
The Van Hagar tank made it in there too.
Yeah. So, but you've been doing that gig for
almost a couple years now.
Okay, so about the same time Dice came back, you started that gig.
I started
right?
that gig,
and you were just filling in here and there.
Yeah, I actually I think
like
now
doing
that
what you could,
doing what I could. And looking back on it, like Lou, who was the guitar player, used to play in the Rocket King years ago.
Okay,
Dice used to play with the Rocket King all the time.
Yeah.
And now I play drums with the Rocket King when I can.
Oh, okay.
I have a show tonight actually at the Pyramid Scheme with them.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But Lou introduced Brian to me. He's like, hey, I know this guy. I think it really was just a matter of who's in the area, dude. Yeah. I mean, sometimes that's all it is location.
Yep.
And Brian asked me to come out to some solo gig of his with just him and his brother as a trio. And I think it was I think that was like my audition.
Kind of the warming up.
Yeah.
Can this dude hang? Because we've talked about that before too. We've talked about that ad nauseum on this show, but it's like, it's cool. Can you do it? But can you not be an asshole or say something stupid?
And we can dive into that whole side of things too.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little bit if you want to.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, he liked me enough. Brad really liked me. Brad, the bass player, is a phenomenal bass player. He's such a cool cat, but he's a tough nut to crack. You know what I mean? He doesn't say much. He believes in what he believes in, but he's just like low key, dark humor. So cool, so funny. So when I played the first show with him and his brother, Brad comes back to me and didn't say really shit to me until we got on the stage. And then he comes over and he puts his foot on the monitor. And like once he felt it, he put his foot on the monitor and he starts rocking. And that just like changed everything. We're homies now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he trusts me. This is a trust thing when you're playing music with other people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Know?
Bounded by waveforms, my man.
Totally.
Yeah, you want to get into a little bit of that, personalities, and since we're kind of on the topic, like what takes and how do you approach that, especially like approaching different gigs and things, you know?
Yep.
Like
I think the main thing is I'm just very big on saying yes to stuff you're not comfortable with or don't think you can necessarily do when asked. I think being well-rounded is only going to help you in any gig. What I personally do is I say yes to a gig. Don't know if I can do it. Don't know if I want to do it. But if I like the people enough and they seem like kind, respectful people, I usually am like, yes, I'll give this a shot. And then I listen the shit out of the music. And I don't think enough people, when they're dissecting songs, spend enough time just listening. Most people want to listen and jump in and just start trying to play. But like, you got to get those songs baked into your head. You know, the turnarounds and like, you also have to be actively listening. So like, I'll play the tunes for a long time, even before I sit down on the drums and try to play along with them type thing. But going into the gig, when I show up, I usually have all the material learned that they've asked of me. I mean, I always have all the material learned that they asked of me. Yeah. And I think for me, I keep it a little reserved. You know, those who know me know that I can be a little bit outspoken sometimes, but also like, we joke about crash shit. You know, I think you just got to read the room.
Yeah.
Obviously, whatever gig you're doing. But I mean, being a good hang means a lot of different things, right? Yeah. Like sometimes you just got to sit there in the green room and be quiet because everybody else is being quiet, getting ready for the gig.
Yeah.
The Verve Pipe is very different in the way that we get in the van. We drive 6 hours, and usually when we get in, we have a guy that drives, and then everybody puts on their headphones. They start answering emails, and it's the quietest van ride I've ever experienced in my life. And at first it was weird, but now I'm like, I fucking love this. Brian's saving his voice. We're saving our energy. If we want to talk, we'll talk. But like, people got podcasts in. I'm answering emails. I'm checking in at home. I do love it. You know, I do love being rowdy in a van too with the boys. But like, it's a very it's a business gig, but it doesn't feel like it once we're on stage.
Right.
You know, we show up to the show.
Yeah.
And they all have been professionals about it for years. So like, I feel like I owe it to them to do the same thing.
Well, they've been around since the 90s, so they're doing something right, and I imagine you can learn a lot from them.
Absolutely. And Brian gives it his all every single night, and I just respect anybody that does that, dude. That dude never phones it in. He sings his ass off and keeps his voice, and like, he's a killer player.
I think, everybody has their own personalities, but coming into something like that, you got to be really confident, but you can't be cocky, right?
Correct.
You got to be confident in your skill because you can't go in there and be like, well, I don't know if I can do this for you guys. Like, they're professionals.
Dude.
They're just going to be like, yeah, you're not going to. You can be the coolest guy in the world, but you got to go in there confident. But confidence also comes with preparation. Yes. That's a huge part of it. Like you said, go in there, know their shit, but be confident, but don't overstep your boundary, especially when it comes to like you said, saying something out of pocket. Just because you believe something don't mean you got to start these conversations about worldly events or politics or whatever. You got to kind of know, some people just don't know better. They just come in there all confident, start talking and interrupting what they already had going on. You almost got to be a chameleon a little bit.
You do. That's
especially if you're the new guy, right?
Yep, that's a good way to put it, man. You do. And like, I think everybody should be themselves, but like, this is not that I'm not being myself. I'm just a little more muted version of myself when I show up to a gig.
Right.
You know what I mean? Until I know the score, until I know what's safe. I'm never going to say anything that is degrading another person. You know what I mean? That's not in my heart. No. That's not the kind of shit I'm talking about. It's more about just like, the inappropriate pee and poop jokes. And,
the stuff that you said with Dies for 50 years.
Right. Well, that might be borderline inappropriate, but
beyond the pale.
Yeah, beyond the pale for sure. So,
but yes, the chameleon thing, that's a great reference. Yeah. Like, you got to know when to kind of keep your mouth shut, but also like, I don't know, we're all doing a hard job, right? None of us, really want to be away from our families too long, and like sitting in a van is not like the coolest thing ever. You're all sore, especially when we get older, dude. You sit 6-7 hours in a van.
Oh yeah.
You get out all sore. You got to go like rock a show and
stretch and all that shit.
Stay hydrated. And
so,
go ahead.
Knowing you, Daine, I kind of already know where the answer would go with this question. But you're playing a metal band and you stay busy doing the Dies stuff on the kit. So double bass, just all kinds of power and flash. When you were considered for the Verve Pipe gig, did you have a moment of like, that'll be easy? Or were you just completely like, oh my God, this is the big band, I better do a good job? So what were your feelings on like being offered this gig or coming into it with respect to your skill set even and what you could already do?
I didn't ever have the thought that was going to be easy.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I know it's a way different style.
Yep.
I'm just kind of wondering if
and
you
at
thought...
first listen, like, sure, most of the tunes are in 4 and they follow somewhat of a formula, but man, their original drummer they had, Donnie Brown, I don't know if you know much about him, but he was a hard hitter and his parts are phenomenal. His touch is crazy good. He's very creative with placement. You know what I mean? I wanted to get all that right, and it took me a while to... Brian wants that, but he also wants you to interject your personality into the playing. So, I mean, it took me a good 3-4 months to where I felt, okay, yeah, I can do it. I mean, I knew I could do it, but like 3 or 4 months to where Brian would come up to me after the show and he's like, dude, we got to have you.
Nice.
I'll never forget. I did a fucking cruise with them. I've done 2 cruises with them.
Yeah.
And the first one, he came by and it was almost like he was admitting defeat. He's like, oh man, we got to have you. We got to have you, dude. I'm like, so then it was still a lot of time before I could actually give that to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I had priorities and I had other shit going on. And I didn't know if that's what I wanted to do full time at the time, but you'll know after spending time with people for a little bit, where they stand and,
Now, do you feel that is a better gig for you besides, whatever we don't want to talk about with the insiders or whatever, not saying there was anything bad there, but do you feel like that maybe this Verve Pipe gig kind of speaks to you a little bit more too because it is original?
Exactly where my mind was
going. And it's still me playing other people's songs, right? But it's a whole different I think this is better for me personally, for my playing, for my career. I feel better about it in every way because I am allowed to still be myself within those confines of these tunes. You know what I mean? And we go off on jams with the Verve Pipe, and we, they'll throw songs out in the van, a cover song, and they'll be like, "You want to play this tonight?" And I'll sit there and listen to it for an hour in my headphones and be like, "Okay, let's run it at sound check and let's do it."
Okay.
That's what kind of band they are sometimes. And if it's not working at sound check, we won't get it. We won't do it. It's not all willy nilly, but but that's being able to learn, and the years of learning tunes and having to learn them, it all informs that too.
Right.
You know what I mean? But no, I think this is better for me as a player for sure.
Well, like you said, what's his singer's name? Brian?
Brian.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like you said, though, it's still his songs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could still feel that coming from him.
Totally.
It might be a hired gun,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still not just a complete cover band or tribute band or whatever. Now with the Verve Pipe, do you just know all of their shit?
No, I know, it comes in chunks. They keep a set list of, 20 to 25 songs that usually get rotated. You got to play the ones.
The hits.
Yep, you have to.
Yeah.
But no, he's constantly throwing older tunes out that they haven't played in a while, which I love that.
That's
because
cool.
it keeps it fresh for the band too.
Yeah.
They just did a couple vinyl re-releases of old records before the Villains record even.
Okay.
And we had to learn, 3 to 5 songs off of those records, which are a little more rocking because those were early 90s. Yeah. But their new record is amazing. Reconciled. A lot of people within the camp and fans are like, this is the best record in a long time. I think there is a lot of good cuts on it. And I think that this could be a really good record for them. They're going to play on it a lot. So I have gig security coming up.
Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get, I kind of want to keep this more drummer oriented and
Yep.
Daine oriented, but just with that. So when they went into the studio, that wasn't because
I wasn't, they tracked this before I was even in consideration. I mean, they tracked this years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not on the record.
It's newly released, but
Yep.
nothing new
Yep.
to,
Yep.
okay. I was just kind of wondering if that was something that might have been, if you're the guy, will you be playing if there's new songs? Or
I would hope so,
Okay.
and I would think so, yeah.
Cool.
But I can't speak to that yet because who knows? Maybe they're like, hey, we got this studio drummer that we love.
That's
compliment. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
But I would like to think that they would, they like my playing enough
Yeah.
that, and if we're creating together, then,
So you might see that door open.
I might see that door open,
yeah.
which I'm excited about because that's another part of the drumming world is studio used to terrify me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It still does a little bit
Yeah.
because but the only way you're going to get better at it is do it.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
You always, just like rap, you hear something in your head, you go to the studio. Same thing with drums, man. You're like, oh God, my hi-hat I'm leaning into more than. And studio's weird. You don't have to hit cymbals as hard. You got to still slam the drums, but
Yep, there's that weird dynamic there. Yep.
Yep.
And then fucking your kick, if there's any bleed, it takes over everything. And
So
absolutely.
The level of the operation of the Verve Pipe, professionals, been doing it for years. What does it look like when a band like that wants to get together for practice? Is it routine or is everything done? Hey, do it at your home. We'll do one rehearsal before the show. What does the lead up to the show look like for preparation for that band?
It really depends on the show for sure because they've been doing this for so long that when I first joined, we had more rehearsals than we do now.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we're playing more, we will usually have a check-in rehearsal before we go out. But it's learn this shit on your own, and we'll have extended sound checks, and you need to know your stuff. You know what I mean?
So you get to a point of becoming maybe like a well-oiled machine,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's just basically sound checks and or a one-off. You get in the woodshed.
Yep.
Excuse me. With the group for a time.
Yep.
Then looks like you got it.
Yep.
Keep it where you got it at home because we're not going to do this every Sunday for you.
Correct.
Just for your sake, and we know our part. So
Yep.
it becomes once you're out, just stay on it at home, right?
And that's where all that front end work comes in, dude. I spent a lot. I mean, last year on my Apple iTunes, you know how they do the Spotify Wrapped. I have Apple Music, so like most listened to band was the Verve Pipe because I was studying. I was putting in the work. I wasn't letting like I think I got it be enough.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was watching live videos of how the old ones to current ones because it's like they change things from the record too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm constantly listening, studying still, you know?
So when it comes to the Freshmen, which version of that did they give you to learn? How did they approach? Because I know they've been doing that song for so long.
Yeah.
They've probably changed it a dozen times or more in how they approach that live. What was that like? Where like Daine listened to this version or listened to this live take or here's how we do it now?
Well, really, it was, I mean, I had to do more work, I feel like, than they did to get me prepped for it. I mean, obviously, but like, Brian sent me the set list. These are the tunes we're playing. And then I would start watching some live videos. I was like, well, hey, what about this part here? And he'd be like, oh, yeah, I forgot we do that. You know what I mean? It was a lot of me, like, you know, shit that he doesn't think about. He's not a drummer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, he's happy with how I can take criticism and how I can take direction and how I can also, in a way, lead. You know what I mean? Drummers lead.
Yeah.
You know, like it or not, they do. You know, you're following the drummer.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. I mean, while we're speaking on being a professional drummer, I think that being able to take feedback as well, like you just said, I mean, we could expound on that a little bit too, is, you know, being able to take that criticism and not take it personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's hard for anybody,
Yeah.
right? You don't like to be told that what you're doing isn't necessarily the right thing.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like pouring your heart out
Right.
to music, you know?
Yeah.
But that is part of being a professional, is because you're not the best player in the room by a long shot. Nobody is, you know, unless you're Zach Doobie. But with great power comes great responsibility, Zach.
That is true.
Nice.
But yeah, dude, it's just, what was the question again? Just about.
Just basically being able to take criticism.
And take
feedback
because
and
no one
be
likes
open to those changes on the fly or whatever. Instead of, well, I already learned it like this. It's
right.
like, well, yeah.
You don't even play drums.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's just, you know, you got to kind of have a little bit of a tough skin. Like, it's not, no one's coming after you. No one's trying to kill you. It's just like, you could be better at something. But, well, you know, now I like hearing that kind of stuff.
Right.
You know, I enjoy the criticism, especially if I can fix it. You know what I mean? Like, I need to know. I need to know what you want from me.
Yep.
So.
No, absolutely. That's awesome. So, Dies, Verve Pipe,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just heard you say you play with Rocket King sometimes too.
Yep,
So now we're
yep.
kind of talking present day,
Yep.
talking about your life right now.
Yep.
Been doing this for a long time. But over the last few years, this has become like your thing, playing drums for a living, basically, right?
Yep.
So is this why you take these other gigs too? Because obviously Dies is more the original thing.
Yep.
You might make a few dollars here and there, but we all know, and we've said this a million times on this show, and even though Dies is popular, you might make a few bucks off your merch, but you guys aren't fucking, you know what I mean?
We're not paying any bills with it.
You're not like
it's
going
feeding the machine. You guys
pretty
know.
much.
Like, you need more merch. You're gonna use the money that's the little bit of money that's in your fund.
Yeah.
You know, for the next batch or whatever. So, yeah, there's no money in metal.
Yeah. But so now you got these other gigs.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I've been playing. Last night I played with this singer-songwriter from Kalamazoo named Carrie McFerrin, and she's great. Do you know Justin Wieringa?
Yes.
Yep. So he plays lap steel for her.
Okay.
Another guy, Jason Huber, and then she just added this violin fiddle. I don't know. This is Metal Maniacs. I don't know the difference between a violin and a fiddle, but she was fucking amazing, and she plays for the Grand Rapids Symphony, and she was out last night, and yeah, I got paid a couple bucks to do that gig, so like I still very much have to do side hustle gigs, you know.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I enjoy doing that.
While
I like
Verve
them.
Pipe isn't playing or active all the time, right?
Yep.
Okay.
We're about to do like a 6-day run at the end of the month with Verve Pipe, but I needed stuff at the front end of the month. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
To make it make sense.
Yep. So yeah, that was one thing that we talked about going into this. Professional drummer, yes, but sometimes you just gotta kind of, as an artist, let's just say even a painter, like you might sell the painting, and then you might not sell the painting for a long time. So you got to kind of figure out how to fill your pockets in between, right? So sometimes you might have to take a little side gig or a different gig, but that's good to be open and, like you said, be well-rounded, because then you can play with a singer-songwriter instead of like just a metal. Do you grind? No, I can't do it. You know?
right. No, and that's that goes exactly back to being well-rounded. Because I said yes to so many gigs over the years and kind of forced myself to learn how to do it. It pays off, because somebody can call me and be like, well, I know that you're reliable and you could probably do the gig because I've seen what you do. So like, because I'm also not one of those drummers who puts my shit on the internet. I'm still a very self-conscious drummer.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to see how I play, they can probably find a video out there somewhere. But that's a good way to get noticed if that's the route you want to go.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with putting clips nonstop of yourself up there. I think that's a great way to do it. I just don't really have the equipment or the want to throw myself out there like that.
Also, on your behalf, Daine, I will say you're kind of already involved. You got
several
things.
I don't need to.
You got several things going on. Yeah, you really don't need to go out there and sell yourself and, update the resume. And, hey, this is a new technique I'm working on. Save all that for when you don't have a gig.
For sure.
Because then you'll be doing that. You'll have more time to do that sort of thing.
Right.
But creating content for yourself to promote yourself, why? You're in like 3 bands.
And I'm always learning tunes. So I was like, what do you want to see me learn this song?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
fuck. That's how you learn a song. Start it over. Start it over.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of, I start songs over so much because I'm like, nope, I'm not going to half-ass play this song. I'm going to get all the parts leading up to each part. And then, I'll go back to,
I love that approach, because that's my approach. It's a 4-minute song, and I could fuck up at the 3-minute mark. Well, I don't pick it up from 2:55. I pick it up from 0.
Yep.
And I got to make it all the way to the 3-minute mark, land my fucking part. Now, if it's a really hard part, obviously I will just focus on that part for like an hour or 2.
Yep.
If that's what it takes to make that one transition happen. But by and large, I'm that kind of guy who I want to play the whole song correctly.
For sure.
I want to get better at the whole song, not just one part, and have all my nerves hinging on that one part.
Right.
Yeah. So. You got all the lead up is just as important as that one part.
Yeah. The whole 3 minutes prior to that is important. Daine, the difference between a violin and a fiddle is just the style of music that you play on.
So I think she was playing fiddle for us last night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's entirely up to whatever genre of style of music you're playing.
But she's
same instrument.
That instrument just blows my mind. No frets on it. This woman was an obvious professional because she got the set list the day of, and she just asked what key the songs were in. And man, watching someone like that just flawlessly,
that's awesome.
Accompany the music in a way that gives it space, but reading, it's just. Yeah.
So is that more of a jam type thing then? Real feeling jam thing? Or do you have songs that you learned and all that?
No, I had songs. I got a set list for that. And it's a mix of some covers, but mostly her original music, which I love her as a person, and I really do like her music. I think she's a great songwriter. So just like, I'll say yes to that kind of shit all day, man. You know what I mean? She's been good to me. She pays me what she can. She always splits everything evenly and is very transparent about what we're getting when we show up or before we show up.
So we're talking about side gigs and everything. Have you ever thought about just like trying to do just maybe some session work? I don't know how available that is, in our area, or like lessons or anything like that. Or you ever thought about that?
Definitely. Like, I love giving like beginner to like kids just getting into drums, and I still do that every once in a while for friends who have kids. And sometimes I figure out that like it's just not for me.
Right.
But I'm still learning like my teaching style. I love kids, and I love working with kids. I've thought about the lessons, but I feel like I need to probably get lessons myself to learn some technique stuff that I kind of just like as a self-taught player, it works for me. Yeah. But like, I think I'm more of a lesson guy for someone who wants to just get into beginner rock drums. You know what I mean?
Sure. Like, for sure.
I got that all day.
Not this is a 7/8 shuffle over a fucking.
Here's the Muller technique. Like,
yeah.
I'm not a jazz cat either. Right, nothing against it. I just don't understand it, dude. Yeah. I don't understand it. It's not in my DNA. Yeah. I don't know what makes jazz good and not good.
Yeah. And that's fine.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I wish I did, because I know it's a whole world that people are like, this is the best form of music. Right. And I've also run into assholes who are like, if you don't play traditional grip, you're not a drummer. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah.
Well, not in the metal world.
I'd love to see these jazz cats play some metal.
Yeah. But so lessons, that's one thing too. Like, a lot of people have asked me over the year, I'm an okay guitar player or whatever, but a lot of that beginner stuff is just like, how you actually holding your pick, you know, like getting used to just pressing your fingers on the fretboard to get the calluses on, you know, just it's not even really about, hey, can you play a Metallica song right now? Because you just need to know how your fingers feel by pressing the strings down on the fret, and you can. Because it's funny if you ever watch just somebody's never played guitar before, and if you've done it, probably the same with drums. They just don't even understand even where to approach it, because you may look at. I watch you play, and I'm like, this motherfucker makes it look easy. I could do that, and I can't do that.
Right.
But you know what I mean?
Well,
so
for sure. And like learning something is never fun.
No.
You know what I mean? So that's the hardest hurdle for me, especially working with kids. It's like kids nowadays want instant gratification. Just I want it. I want this to feel good right now. You know, and like. That's never going to happen when you're starting an instrument, you know.
It's painstaking on the guitar to like press your finger on that. You're not even doing one fucking note.
Man, I spent a year trying to play acoustic guitar, and I wish I would have stuck with it, but like I was like, how do people just hold their wrist like this? You know what I mean? Like how? How is that possible? Well, it is, because millions of people do it.
Yeah, but it's just
It's that. The one thing that you can't cheat is putting in the reps.
Yep.
Right.
You can't.
And I think that's the big lesson, especially with a kid, is like, are you willing to sacrifice not playing a video game or watching a screen or whatever else that's on the agenda, and just willing to sit there and do the same thing over and over with very, very minimal results?
Yes.
That's one thing
like
I've had to
pay off in 2 years. Like same thing with like working out, right? Like we're going to lift today, but maybe in 2 years, or in my case, 15 plus, maybe there's some payoff there.
Totally.
For aspiring musicians, for kids, one of the things that you have to like pound into their head or get them to understand immediately is, and what I tell my daughter is like, you're good at a lot of things immediately. Like there's certain things that you pick up a controller, play a game, you're better than me.
Yeah.
No problem. I said there's other things in this life that you're going to fail at repetitively before you get good. And that's part of learning, and that's part of actually getting good at something. Something you really want to do, ride a bike, swim, play piano. Those are things you're not going to be good at out of the box. Like you're just going to have to like accept that, you know, I sound like a baby or a beginner right away, and it just takes time. A good teacher can help with that. And one of the things that I like about a lesson versus a YouTube video, YouTube video can show you all kinds of things, but it can't reach across time and space and touch your hand and say your grip is poor. You have a bad grip on the stick. You're holding the guitar pick incorrectly. You know, like,
or on the flip side, be like, hey, you're doing great.
That
Struggle
too.
through this part.
You
know, we got this. Like.
But a video
you just see the end result.
A video can show you all kinds of things, and then you kind of take it for what it is and do your best to replicate it. But a human being in the room, especially at a beginner level, can offer you so many encouraging words and other things, just how to sit, how to hold it, even how to breathe, if that's what it comes down to. So
that's a great example. Like, I let Easton cut the grass, and I remember when I cut the grass when I was a kid, and we had a rider, but my dad would always be like, don't get me wrong, I love my dad, but he'd be like, you're just riding around in circles. And for one, it's like, it's just grass. It's going to grow back. I don't know why but it's like, I'm doing something at least. But like with Easton, I could have been like, you didn't cut all the perfect lines. I said, hey, dude, do the best you can do. And it's like anything else. You're going to do it a few times. You're not going to be great at it. There's going to be patches out there that you're going to miss some shit. It's not going to be whatever. But just think, maybe in a year, you're going to have that dialed in. You're going to figure out to do it, and I'll help you along the way. I mean, that's the difference. You just got to understand that some of that shit isn't so dire. Like, my dad was worried about the grass. Like, it's not going to grow back. Like, it has to. Who the fuck is Better Homes and Gardens coming today? Like, what the fuck? Why do we have to have the grass part? Like, you're teaching me the wrong lesson. You know what I mean? So it's just different styles of parenting or whatever, or how my dad grew up. I think the same way, but you know, that's why I teach my son. You know, it's like, dude, you're gonna suck. You gotta. Mike certainly said before, like, you gotta embrace the suck,
dude. Mike's the dude.
Yeah.
But what about session stuff? Has that ever been an idea? Or?
It's been an idea. I'm one of those dudes that doesn't have a setup at my house to, like, you know, I'd have to spend some money and invest in proper mics and
like
stuff,
recording
equipment.
And or be asked to go in the studio with a band, like maybe singer-songwriter or something like that. So maybe, would you say that's a networking thing, maybe, to put yourself out there a little more for those kind of gigs?
Definitely. I think that's one thing that if I wanted more studio work, I would definitely be telling people that I wanted more. I think I have anywhere in any of my stuff like DM for studio, right? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's more of a word of mouth thing, and I'm fine with that right now, because also with studio stuff, I don't know. I don't know what people are getting paid to come in and do a session. Right. You know what I mean? It'd be like another gig, I guess, and I'd have to decide whether it was worth it to me or not, just on a personal level.
Yeah.
But I think there's tons of drummers that have more experience in that are probably getting those calls. You know what I mean? And that's fine.
Yeah.
Something I want to do more of. I did just do 2 songs at Planet Sunday Studios, which is Joel Ferguson. He used to play in Verve Pipe, but he was in a band called Papa Vegas back in the day, and they had some regional success.
Familiar with them.
And his studio was great. I probably had one of the best experiences in my life out there. He was just very easy to work with. His drum sound was awesome. His drum editing was so fast, and but also he was like, he paid me a good compliment. He's like, Jesus, dude, these waveforms are like all exactly the same on all your takes between the dynamic range. Nice. You know what I mean? So that was the quickest session I've ever done, and I think that if you're prepared and you know what you want to do going in, and it's hard to not second guess yourself in the fucking studio, right?
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
But if you just can kind of breathe and be like, my thing is like, I pretend like I'm at a show, you know what I mean, in my head.
Yeah.
And I try to tune everything out that I can. And because the moment you start thinking about stuff and overthinking stuff,
right,
that's when
you start second guessing your part.
Yeah,
and
then the anticipation isn't,
Yep.
the hits might be just a hair behind, which affects the feel. And it's like, I think just having, once again, that mindset of being as consistent as you can be when you go into a situation like that,
Okay. So rocking with the Verve Pipe right now, full-time gig. Dies is on hiatus. Do you want to speak on that at all, or not necessarily? Or
I just think that, for anybody that cares, I just think that in order for us to have hope of having, a future with Dies, whatever that may look like, we just need to step away from it for a minute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Everybody needs a break from stuff.
Yeah.
And we definitely need to figure out what page we are all on. And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We came back, we did a great reunion show. We did some great shows after that. And, I feel very unfortunate. I feel bad that we had to cancel our last 2 shows, but they just weren't happening. No. You know what I mean? No. And that's okay too.
And, you got to do what's best for the well-being of yourself or mental states within the band or whatever that looks like. You know what I mean? So that comes before the glory of trying to play another show.
Totally, dude. I care more about my bandmates as friends than I do bandmates.
And or your own mental health, like forcing something that might not be the right time to do that. So, you know what I mean? In a roundabout way. So, well, that's good. So,
guys are coming up on the holidays anyway. The holidays are lurking right around the corner, so maybe not even the worst time to take a downtime break and come back around the corner in 2026 and be recharged.
Yep.
Yeah, and kind of figure out priorities.
Yeah, that's what we need to do is figure out priorities. And it also goes to when you're sharing space and you're sharing your time and you're sharing something as personal as music, you got to all communicate. You got to all be on somewhat of the same page. You got to have hard conversations, all that, So that time will come, and we'll come back together. I'm sure we will. We're brothers. Yeah. And if that means we do it with the band, if that means we just do it as homies, I can't say for certain. I just know that we need a break. All of us, not just me, all of us.
No, I get that. I understand that. Now, when you go into these multiple situations like this, so now you're in a different band as well, the Mother and Son Hardcore. Is that your band now? Now you're playing.
That was conceived by my buddy Eric, who plays in a band called the Wretched Hive. I think you saw him at the.
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, Nick, you were there, right?
Yeah,
I believe so.
Yep, they had the vocalist that did more clean vocals. He kind of had a vampire thing going on. Chris Angel, Vampire Vibe going on.
And then Harley's band played Stranglehold that night too. Okay. At Unruly.
Yeah.
You were there, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Good stuff. The Wretched Hive opened the show. And but I met Eric, the guitar player, just randomly when we were doing our reunion show. I met him. He had messaged me on Facebook and he's like, "Hey, can I come get a ticket for the If He Dies reunion show?" And I have so many foggy memories from back then. I honestly felt bad. I was like, do I know this guy from back in the day, And I didn't say anything. He showed up. And I didn't recognize him. And I'm usually at least good with faces. And I'm like, did we know each other back in the day? He's like, no. I'm a big music fan. And I saw that you guys were coming back and blah, blah, blah. So we kicked it. And then we were friends for a year. We would just talk on the phone, share music, hang out every once in a while. And then I think it was at his partner's surprise birthday party. He's just like, hey, man, do you want to come over and like make some music? I was like, yeah, I do.
Oh,
so
cool.
I went over a couple days later, and it was just one of those rare occasions where like the riffs and the tunes just like kind of came right away. You know what I mean? And after the first practice, we're like, this is cool. Is it cool to you? And he's like, yeah, this is cool. And we just kept scheduling practices. We wrote, I don't know, we got like 8 songs written right now. And we went and played a show as a 2-piece and had some people come in and out, play bass, and a couple of rehearsals, and they just never called us back. So we were like, fuck it, we're going to do the 2-piece thing. And also, I have a friend named Pia, and she's never been in a band before. And I just saw something in her, and I was like, I think you could do vocals for this band. Like, I don't know what that looks like, but I think you could do it. And she's like, I think I could do it too. And then she had this friend, Charity, that plays bass. And they came over a few weeks ago now, maybe a month ago. Hasn't been that long. And it was just like, I wouldn't say it was like, I don't know how to say this other than it was the best hang I've had.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean? Outside of like any kind of musical capabilities of anybody, it was the most positive environment I'd been around, and it continues to be.
Nice.
And we gas each other up, but we're also honest with each other. We're very receptive to ideas. It's called MASH for a reason. There's just so many different influences. I wouldn't know how to like really label it other than it's not metal.
Okay.
And it's not hardcore.
All right. Thanks for watching this show.
But it's heavy.
Okay.
It's heavy.
That's nice.
And I'm very happy with, I'm just happy with the people, I know me and Modd had talked, and he really wanted to hear this stuff. And like, I had brought that back to Eric. I was like, hey, this is after like our 4th bass player didn't call us back. And I was like, hey, I have this buddy out in Muskegon. He wants to give this a shot. And another thing with his band is we all have to be on the same page. And Eric's main concern was like, I need someone out in Grand Rapids because we're practicing twice a week.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a lot of commitment from
and
outside the city.
Yeah. And it's a lot of commitment. Like, I can't expect anybody to be like, what's this nobody band? Like, do you want me to show up 2 practices a week? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
and Nick's even 20 minutes more north.
Yeah,
oh, are you?
Yeah.
Where are you at?
I'm
He's
in
Whitehall.
Oh, shit.
So,
yeah.
So, I mean,
well,
that
I
drive.
know.
Yeah.
I
but
mean,
that drive isn't a Muskegon drive.
Yeah.
That's a Whitehall drive.
Yep.
That's 20 more minutes
Yep.
that way.
Yep.
So,
Yep. And I made that drive for If He Dies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I know how.
So and
If
that
you
was
don't-
like once a week or once every bi-weekly or whatever.
Yeah.
It's still
Yeah.
like a pain in the ass.
It's a pain in the ass, and it adds up, dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
so I understand where he's coming from. I get that, man.
and
Yeah, because you get the guy that's from an hour away, and then you can start to almost look ahead and say, "Yeah, they're not coming." They're,
well,
you
dude,
get.
and I don't blame you, man.
You
I
get,
wouldn't
like,
blame anybody.
4 to 6 sessions in, and like, well, he was late for the last one, called out on one before that. And like, it's starting. Then you start to see like how important it is to be, in the same city.
In Grand Rapids.
Well, and that brings me back to like location. It's like you almost got to do, unless you're willing to make some major sacrifices, like you almost have to just make do with geographically who's kind of close to you.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's kind of like the bane of our existence. Is we're in a small town, and you only know so many musicians. So you have to like, first of all, personality check.
Yes.
Got to meet that criteria.
Yep.
And then like kind of skill set and or direction. Like I want to play the style of music. So you kind of run out of options real quick.
Yeah. Especially when like, I mean, everyone's looking for a fucking drummer, right?
Yeah.
Like, and part of me is like, feels very fortunate to have put in the back end work, front end work, whatever. And there's no shortage of gigs. It really depends on what you want to do. It's not just because I'm a drummer. I mean, if you're a guitar player and this is what you wanted to do, anybody could do it. You know what I mean? You could go play with other people. Everybody needs a guitar player too. Everybody needs a bass player.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just drums, but it is a little easier in a way for drums, I think, to interject yourself into situations.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe not.
We were talking to Kyle Wagner from Boreworm / Nethergate / Ashes of the something else. He's in like 5 bands, and he's like an extreme drummer or whatever. And we were just talking about that when we got to that show the other night with him when we got there. And it's like, yeah, there's, a handful of guys in Muskegon, but they all play in like multiple bands. Like Eklund's the only guy that don't play in multiple bands like that I know. Other than that, every other drummer plays in multiple bands.
Every other one that's gigging does, yeah.
So it's just something.
So this guy, what's the guy's name you said? That you were just
Kyle Wagner.
Yeah. He plays with is he like a working drummer too, or does he have a main band?
He was the guy that toured with Recorruptor. So he's like the guy, so if you need a guy that plays grind and wants to learn your songs and go out there and do it, he'll do it, you know. So, and he's like in multiple projects himself too, probably for creative aspects more or less, because I understand that.
Stay busy, gigging.
Yeah. But like he said, he wants to play in 5 bands because then instead of playing one show a month with one band, he can at least probably play 3 a month or whatever that looks like. Because
so he's kind of onto something with his mindset that I wanted to bring up on the show, and that is, making yourself available to constantly jam and gig. Now, in his case, he's kind of like chasing after all of these grind metal bands, which is a little bit like spinning your wheels in the mud. If you got one grind metal band or you got 3 grind metal bands, you have one grind metal band. It's not like, I don't think there's a lot of forward momentum, maybe in that metal scene. But I think what I wanted to get around to in this conversation was, talking about how Daine's diversity. So you got the tribute band, you've had the cover band, you had the original metal band, you've even done the hip hop thing, and now you're doing like, the alt rock or whatever you want to call it, Verve Pipe, rock and roll.
Yeah.
So you've diversified yourself across all these different genres, and you've made yourself available to play numerous styles. So I think that can keep you busy in a really good way. So not just looking forward to a show every weekend, but now we can kind of steer this thing into a career path, which is basically the impetus behind the entire conversation we're having here, is like the working musician.
Yeah.
So Daine, when did it click with you that you just needed more than one, or that not even that so much as like, I'm going to do this for a living and not just for fun on the weekends? Like, what did that process, that thought look like, and how did it unfold over time for you? Like, hey, I don't want to just be like Dies' drummer or a drummer in one band. I got to go have 4 or 5 projects to put a little bit of food on the table or pay some bills. Like, how did that evolve over time for you?
I think that like the beginning of the Insiders thing is definitely where the wheel started spinning and the money started getting decent enough for me to not have to stress about. Because at that time I had phased out of the restaurant gigs, but I was working as a runner, which is like you're the gopher for tours that come through. I was doing a lot of that at the Van Andel. Getting a flat rate, working 16-hour days because you show up when the trucks and buses get there, and then you go home when the last bus driver comes from his hotel to drive away. You know what I mean? After load out.
Yeah.
So that was just like taking a lot out of me, and we were getting more busy with the Insiders. I think a lot of times it's just like a leap of faith too, man. Like, I don't know how else to, because as soon as I would take one leap, I felt like another door would open. Or if I was worried about one thing, if I kept working hard, that's the thing. I never really stayed still though. And that's talking about the reps, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. I always kept going, and I said yes to shit. But I think at the Insiders, when we first formed that band 7 years ago or 8 years ago, that was when I was like, okay, well, there's money out here. Max is getting money for these shows. We're doing a good show. And then I slowly started just phasing out of production work when the shows got better. And then that's when I started saying yes to other things. And you're going to get faced with people like, well, why are you going to play with them? You're in my band. It's like, well, if you can prove that you can do it both and it's not affecting schedules. And I was always good about transparency, making sure my schedule was good 2 months out. If I committed to one thing, even if something else paid better, I always did the thing I committed to, dude.
Yeah.
And that's something I can stand on. You know what I mean?
That's big time.
Because a lot of people wouldn't.
Yeah.
But
that's why these bands have like backups too, you know, because they understand that's
totally
this kind of life. And so that kind of goes into a question I wanted to ask. Go ahead. Did you clarify that for you?
Yeah, I think
I just wanted to make
started,
sure that
basically when we did the tribute thing and I saw that there was money out there for that and that people are willing to pay. I don't know, the wheels just started spinning for other things. And I also, like, that being said, I played the same show with that band forever. So like I wasn't satisfied in a lot of ways, so I had to go out and look for other things to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can't just like mentally do this
one.
I get it. Like
act.
if you were on tour and you had to play the same set every night because of the lights and everything, and all that, but that'd be different because you'd be playing an original band. You know what I mean?
So I got 2 questions for you. One is, now do you have an open conversation, like you just started this mother and son hardcore thing, you started jamming with this guy. What do those conversations look like with these other people that like ask you to play or you know?
As far as the people that we have playing with us now?
Well, I'm just saying like he's like, hey, you want to jam? This is cool. Let's do it or whatever. But at that time, you're still playing in Dies.
Yep.
You're kind of just getting over the Tom Petty thing. You're still playing in the Verve Pipe. Other people ask you to play. Obviously, that's money. But what does that conversation up front for you look like when you're like, oh, there's another project? What do you tell the other people in the band? Like,
that it has to be a labor of love.
Yeah.
Because this band's not going to make any money.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So you're like, I'll get to you when we get to it. But if I got other stuff going on, you can count on me not being here for 2 weeks or whatever that looks like.
But we've also booked out some shows now. And if something comes up on my calendar, like I already have it marked off on my Verve Pipe calendar and on every other calendar that I'm off this weekend because I have some shows booked with MASH. You know what I mean? Like,
gotcha.
We'll see how that plays out, but it'll be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why you said, like you said, there are subs. I'm sure I'll still have a sub in the Verve Pipe if there's, you know, they all have family obligations too. We don't, you know what I mean?
Right.
If it doesn't work for everybody, they usually don't do it. But the conversation we had was everybody has to be on the same page. Everybody has to realize this is a labor of love. And we're going to keep it positive.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. If there's any fucky stuff going on, we're going to address it right away. And also, there's something to be said about playing in a band with 2 women. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've never done that.
Right.
And goddamn, it just like makes things a little more chill in ways because there's not so much aggro energy going on.
Yeah. My other part of the question is, with you playing drums all the time, you ever suffer burnout? Is that like a thing for you, or just a point where you're just like, man, I just don't want to play right now? Or is it just because, hey, this is kind of like my livelihood, so I won't get burnout? Or you just enjoy it that much that you're passionate about it?
I am honestly like, the older I get, the more I want to be playing, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how to explain it other than like, I am so grateful to, I mean, I played this little pavilion out in Allegan last night to like 20 people with this Carrie McFerrin chick, but the band was killer. And like, I had a great time, you know, and I got paid. And like, I'm just so happy to be playing drums as long as I'm able-bodied. Like, you know, I had a point in my 30s where like, oh, I'm almost 40. Like, I can't be doing this like rock and roll thing forever. But it's like, fuck yeah, you can. Like, why really can't you?
Yeah, why can't
you? Know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I hate when people say stuff like that because you can. If you take care of yourself, even if you're the drummer. Drummer's probably, you know, arguably like the most physically demanding in the band. He's doing, you know, 5 times more labor back there than anybody else. We just got all stand up out front and singer, you know, strum. Not a lot of physical activity there. Maybe being stage present and entertaining is another value to have as a stringed instrument. But
totally.
But like, if you take care of your body, you know, you eat right, maybe a little stretching and some exercise, go for some walks, and stay on your instrument. I mean, you see these guys all the time in the big Fort. Lars, you know, Charlie from
Lombardo, dude.
Yeah, they're in their 60s.
They're hitting hard.
And they're playing in front of tens of thousands of people under the light, you know, the pressure, the stress, the whole atmosphere. They're still doing it. When I see guys that are older and still doing it, it makes me feel like, yeah, these musicians, like, we do it because we love it and because we can do it our whole lives.
Yes.
And I think I love hearing that from you, just the idea, like, the older I get, the more I want to play. Like, that's, come on. I love that. I'm like, I love that. I want to go and see you play again because I know you're gonna love it.
Right.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna enjoy you loving it while you're playing it. I'm gonna enjoy watching that.
Yeah. So. I almost respect those guys more that are 50, 60, still doing it. Paul Bostaff and those guys playing Slayer. It's like, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah,
why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
That's my whole thing is why not?
Why
Somebody
not?
has to cover this ground of this crazy world we live in, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, we're already in our 40s. Like, we're not gonna get any more time.
Right.
So like, who gives a fuck what anybody thinks?
Yeah.
You know
as
what
long
I mean?
as
like,
you're having fun.
Yeah. And I used to give
And
a
it's
fuck
good
about
for
what
you.
people thought.
Yeah.
but I don't anymore.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
And that's okay.
Can't afford to.
No, can't afford to.
No,
Time has the energy.
Dude, time is too expensive. You can't afford to fucking waste it thinking about what fucking next guy is thinking about you, not doing something because you might get a shitty comment or whatever, you know, in our case or whatever. We just do it because we fucking do it.
Exactly,
we like doing it, man.
Exactly.
You know? So,
I know you're talking about being in your 40s or 50s, and I don't know how long I want to keep screaming or doing this. It's like till the fucking wheels fall off.
Yeah.
Till I can't scream anymore.
Yeah.
Really is
Why
like
not?
Like I wanted to do it when I was 15. You know, 30 years later, I still want to do it. So I don't think that's going away.
Right.
Yeah, now
It's been the better part of my life, like being involved in metal since I was 10 or 15 or whenever in there.
Well,
So
and you
now
guys are still going. You know what I mean? You guys are in the same different avenues, same fucking boat. We're all still doing this thing. You know what I mean? We know so many people in our lives that, I mean, how many people think about back in the day when we were in the scene, like, just stopped playing.
Yeah.
You know?
just gave it up.
And that's, once again, that's okay too, but that's not how I want to live my life. And I feel like me playing through those years, figuring out what I wanted to do has only helped me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
While everybody got big boy jobs, I'm over here living in poverty still, but I'm doing it my own way.
Yeah.
You know, like.
But you're fulfilled, dude. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because you can make big boy money, but be unfulfilled and wish that you were on stage. Because at the end of the day, you're not taking none of this shit with you.
Right.
You don't put a U-Haul behind the hearse, you know? So it's like, who fucking cares? Like, it's the fulfillment that you get out of playing. That means way more than maybe some shiny fucking object on your wall that you bought that you want to tell somebody about or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
and I want my kids to see this. I want them to see, you know, my partner is self-employed as well. Well, she does some alterations at a bridal shop now, but like she's a creative as well. I want my children growing up knowing that it's okay to do what you want to do.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
and that music is very important.
Yeah. And I find that a lot of people that have good jobs, make good money, whether they're working at a shop or they're in IT or what have you, I find that a lot of these people, they pay the bills, but fuck if they're not miserable.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I get it. Go out there, get money, 9 to 5, be part of society, work, you know, but if all of those people do is turn around and get nasty with everybody else who wants to be an artist, you know, like, oh, it must be nice to sit at home and color all day, you know, and paint, fucking make music.
Are you still in your little band?
Still doing your little band.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you know, that brings a measurement of peace, you know, or a amount of peace that you can't measure.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, look, I go out to shows still. I play on a stage if the opportunity were present because I love it.
Yeah.
And it brings me peace.
Yeah.
Whereas people, they go home and their whole attitude for the week depends on the Lions winning or losing.
Right.
You know, because work's going to suck.
Yeah.
So,
we know that. Yeah. That's
so if the Lions lose, my whole fucking week sucks.
Yeah.
You know, just things like that where it's
totally.
like, but as a musician, it's like I can go to band practice. I don't have to watch the Lions game. I can just play music. And then the rest of my week, I'm like, I get to play music in a week.
Yep.
You know, on Sunday or whatever. And there's a concert coming up on Friday or Saturday. So I think just having the music to do enriches your life so much more than just like what's in the bank account.
I think some of that needs to be understood by maybe non-musicians is the fact that you're so focused on something for a period of time that you forget everything else. It's like going golfing and working on your golf swing, right? Why do dudes like to go out with their buddies and go golfing for a half a day or whatever? It's because you're just going out there with the boys and you're going golfing, but you might, you know, if you're serious, you're not just going out to get fucked up and drink, which we're all in that stage. We don't do that with our music. That has nothing to do with it, right? But we're going out there, we're working on our swing, we're focused on this one thing. So it's easy to kind of forget about the fucking medical bills piling up or Susie's surgery or whatever. Like, though it's all real life shit we still have to deal with, but we all just need that little few hours to like be in our own mega focused space where nothing else is affecting us, whether it be on stage or on a tour for you or, you know, whatever that looks like. You know, I just think sometimes non-musicians don't understand. That's kind of how we clear our head, because you're focusing on playing this part right. Because you ever notice the times you fuck up are the part you're thinking about the doctor bill, right?
Yep. When
and
you
then
let
you're like,
your
oh,
mind
fuck.
wander.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because every time you fuck
that.
up, it's like because you're not even you're just going through the motions like you were talking about earlier. You're not in that focused, laser focused state where you're like, okay, I'm playing this note, harder, pinch harmonic, because that's kind of how you have to be, you know.
Totally.
You know, so
and some days are better than others. Some days you could be trying to focus and it's just, you know what I mean? Whether it's sleep, lack of water. I mean, there's so many factors going against you when you're on a stage, right?
That's
so
just being a human.
Yeah.
You know. Can I ask you something that might be a little divisive, but as far as like sobriety, how important is that to you when you're playing with other musicians?
It's pretty much everything, man. And I know I've ruffled some feathers this shit in the past.
And
like,
we don't have to get like, it might be divisive to some people, but I just think at this point in our lives, this is something we should talk about. Because I'm kind of in the, you and I
we've had plenty of
lengthy conversations, but I like to just put it on the table right
here. You know, I work so many shows too in production. I work at 20 Monroe, and I've done the runner thing at Van Andel, and I see a lot of these acts come and go and get on stage and perform at the highest level. And if there's one thing they have in common, it's not getting fucked up. You know what I mean? Nobody really does that shit anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And I've said it before, but like that's just the truth. You know, there are a couple people that come in that obviously have like some drinking problems and stuff, but like never do I see a band take the stage fucked up, or even with like rarely. So maybe they'll have a stage beer up there.
Right.
But like even on riders and stuff, it's becoming more common for us to take the tap handle off the kegerator in the green room, because a tour is like, this is a dry tour. You know what I mean? I see almost as many dry tours as I do. And that's not to say people don't get fucked up and do their thing, but I'm talking about when you're on the stage. I've never seen anyone too inebriated to perform, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that it slows you down regardless of who you are, no matter how good of a player you are. Alcohol is a depressant.
Yep.
You wouldn't drive a car if you're drunk, so I don't know why you'd play your guitar when you're drunk.
Right. I think there's this false.
Let the haters come.
Yeah, it is what I think. There's this false sense of confidence too, because that's what it does. And then like a lot of times you're like, man, I just played so well, and you watch the tape and you're like, yeah, you didn't play so well because you were drunk. But I also understand the other side of it, because for me not drinking for the last 5 years and then playing shows and stuff, it's a whole different feeling, because it's easy to get a shot or two or a Jaeger bomb beforehand, and you do kind of get those nerves off, and you kind of don't give a fuck, because you're like, okay. So there is a kind of a fine line, and I understand why people do it, but like you don't have to get fucked up. You don't have to have 4 drinks. You don't have to have 8 drinks. Like we don't live in that world anymore. You know, and I don't know. I'm kind of a hater when it comes to alcohol. If you like it, cool, do your thing. But
it's just taken so much away from me that I don't have any room in my life for it, dude.
I don't judge people that do it, but it just I don't have no spot for me. But I also kind of feel like it doesn't really have a spot in like professional music.
No, it doesn't have a place in any professional activity. Period.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether LeBron would slam a fifth before he plays.
I mean, are you getting up and before you lace up the work boots, you're having a beer? Like, I don't fucking think so. My thing is, and I am the resident drinker, but my drinking is so infrequent and so minimal. Like we were out Friday night, I had 1 drink.
You're one of those rare people that I wish I could be like. I wish I could enjoy drinks responsibly. I do. I wish I could have a drink.
Well, part of it, Daine, I'll tell you this, is like I'm quick to get a hangover. So I already know tomorrow Nick could have a mountain to climb or be laying in bed all day if he drinks too much. Yeah. So I settled on the 1 drink, and just enough to be a little bit blah blah, you know, with the chat and with everybody in the room, right?
Yep.
But I didn't even have to drive. Jay said, "Go for it, man. Like I don't even care. Like you're passengers." I was just 1 drink. One drink's fine, and I could feel it because I got a double. I'm gonna make it a twofer, if you will. But but where I'm going with this is that I enjoy it lightly. Here and there, I drink at dinner with my wife or at home with the wife or one out with a friend or what have you. But when it comes to practice time, when it comes to show time, man, fuck. When I see somebody holding a drink before I know they're about to take a stage, like inside I'm fucking seething.
Yeah.
I'm like simmering, and I'm just here to watch you. I'm not even performing with you. But when I see you walking around with a Captain and Coke or a beer, I'm like, well, ain't you got to play in like 2 hours? Like how many of those you gonna have?
Right.
What are you on right now?
Yeah.
Like and when practice comes, and then here comes homeboy with the 12-pack, and I'm like,
that's fucking
put it back in the car right
do
fucking
that
now.
at
Like
all.
put the bottle down. Like you're on my time. I'm sorry. If you want to drink, do it after the practice.
Well, we're at that age where it's not like we're not here to party, dude.
Yeah.
We're here to bang
Party's
these
over.
tunes out. The party's been over.
Party's been over 20 years, bro.
And like I will always advocate for like a sober environment if I can. You're not going to get it all the time, man. You're not going to get it a lot in the metal world, and you're going to get a lot of people that it forces them to look at themselves and their own drinking habits.
Yeah.
And
something a lot of people are not willing to do.
Right.
And, as a society, alcohol has been so, welcomed and accepted, and it has destroyed so many lives.
Yep.
It's destroyed a lot of lives in my world.
Mm-hmm.
It's affected me from the time I was born. You know what I mean?
Yeah, same.
I just don't have any fucking patience for it.
I understand.
And I still work with people that drink, but none of those people get to the point where they can't play and they know where I stand with it. So I think in a way, they kind of like keep themselves in check, knowing that like I don't even fuck with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right,
I think
right.
it's probably in their head.
Yeah. It
last
plays
night,
a part.
totally. Last night, Carrie, I've probably only played 5 or 6 shows with her, but she had a cooler of just like some light beer for the band because it was a hot day, and then she had brought me 3 non-alcoholic beverages. So like people are paying attention and like they, she made it so I was like I didn't have to sit there like an asshole and be the only one without a drink.
Right.
And none of them got hammered. They had a couple beers.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's a slippery slope, man. Anybody that's had any kind of addiction issues, anybody that's had trouble with alcohol, I know I have. So I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I won't do it.
I can't either because I'm all or nothing guy.
Yep.
So I'm drinking every day or I don't drink at all. That's just the way I am.
Mhm.
For some reason I can't control that in my life. It's
Same.
all or nothing for me.
Same.
So I have to go nothing.
I don't have like the addictive personality per se, so it doesn't grab onto me like that.
Yeah.
And I also grew up with it in a negative environment where I could see how it could just ruin lives.
Mhm.
So there's a part of me that's always like, well, it's okay to like for you to have a drink and enjoy yourself, but don't do it like others have done and how you've seen it carry out in my own experience.
Right.
Like don't become that person. So real between like getting sick or easily upset stomach or just having like the past my own experiences, I was like, okay, we're not doing that kind of drinking, But I would rather be around people that would prefer their sobriety or not drink, just because then I know kind of what I'm getting. Whereas anybody's drinking, and you don't know what their personality is going to change, what they can perform and do, or like if they're going to turn on you, like I just feel like being shitty to this guy now, and it's like why? Because I'm sober,
Right. Yeah.
Like that sucks.
You start introducing a lot of variables when you start introducing alcohol into any situation, right?
And alcohol, as they say, the gateway drug. So if the guy that's bringing over the 12-pack is also bringing over blow, you got to go.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm not. I don't even want to watch it.
Yeah.
Like,
Totally.
keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Don't want to be around it.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak on that a little bit. It's important to me, but I feel like you're in a touring band, right? And you did shows with the Insiders for 7 years. Like none of those guys are getting fucked up, but you guys are making money off of
I don't
playing
think
music,
anybody
right?
drank in the Insiders.
Yeah, so it just goes to show, like, if
Yeah.
you're trying to get to that professional level, and I'm sure any metal band, just one off the top of my head, Cradle of Filth. Maybe those guys have some beers after the show, but I guarantee none of them guys are getting fucked up before they go on stage
When
because
you're playing technical
you're
music,
trying
at
to
that
be
level.
professional, man. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, and to each their own or whatever. And I'm not judging it. If it's good for you, you can do
I
it
would love to have a
responsibly,
conversation about
you
this,
know?
though. If anybody does want to comment in the comment section, I would love another take on it too,
Yeah.
because I understand the cutting loot, like the nerves thing.
Right.
I get that, but we all know that usually one shot leads to 2, leads to 3. I don't care how good of a drinker you are.
Yeah.
And once again, alcohol is depressant. I don't know why you would even want to take the stage with that curtain over you, that fog over you,
yeah.
and it's so personal. Like we talked about before, like I can tell what kind of person someone is almost by the way they play. You know what I mean?
Mm.
If they save room for another soloist, or if they are playing aggressive, or if they're playing sad, but it's like alcohol, you're going to play like a drinker,
Yeah.
if you ask me.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
And as a drummer, though, I would imagine like I think of it as like, well, would I get liquored up before playing basketball 5-on-5, shirts
Right.
and skins? Would I go and knock back a half a pint before playing a game of football? Like, no, I don't want to run.
Yeah.
I don't want to ride my bike drunk. I don't want to do anything.
Would
drunk.
I go to my IT job that takes, tech skill and,
observant?
Detail.
would I go to a factory job where I have to do the same thing over and over drunk? No, I wouldn't. No, I would hope that you wouldn't, because you'd be fucking fired.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. I don't know if when you're young and you see people doing it, you're like, I want to do that, and you think it's all this glamour and fame, and then you get into it and you're like, And the only way it works is if you don't really do the party thing.
Yeah.
Like however a party band becomes a thing is a mystery to me.
Yeah.
Because, that was the 70s and the 60s and stuff. Like, and the 80s.
80s.
Yeah.
Was probably
decadence.
The peak of it. But now I'm just like, I don't understand how people can live like that. I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's real.
No.
I think you can maybe attain success and then go back on it and like, oh, now I'm going to party it up. Well, good for you. You've already achieved what so many are striving for,
right?
But the rest of us coming up, I need you to show up sober and rehearsed.
Yeah, I mean, at that level, you just, I don't know how it can be possible playing at a high level, doing it,
Yeah.
Well, we are starting to approach the 2-hour mark here, man. Is there anything that you wanted to go over that maybe we missed, or any topics that you kind of had on your mind that maybe we could talk about?
I think, no, just like going back to being a working musician, working drummer for myself, I think the main things to remember is what's worked for me is always being rehearsed and consistent. I keep saying that, but like you can never have too much rehearsal on some tunes that you're learning, Be yourself, but also know when you need to shut your mouth and when you need to speak up, because we all need to speak up for each other too. If you feel like you're not, you're being misrepresented or you're not being heard, you need to make your voice heard. And it's, a lot of times it's about how you say things, not what you say.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
And I'm constantly working on that. I can get a little hot-headed. But I know that anybody who's worked with me knows that I'm not an asshole. I can stand on that. I'm not a mean-hearted, mean-spirited person,
Right.
I think that goes a long way, being a good hang. Just being rock solid in all the ways that you can be, you're yourself. So you got to do what you can be, what you can do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not you, you're not me,
Right.
We're going to approach things differently, but being reliable is the main thing, man. If somebody asks you to do something, show up with it, learn better than they think you're going to have it,
Yep.
My buddy Brandino, Mike Shirtlieb, same. Those two dudes are both workhorses, and they always say the same thing. Like, I want to be the most prepared person in the room.
Know what happens is those nerves go away a lot more when you're overly prepared on stage too.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to drink if you've practiced your ass off.
Exactly.
That's, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
you do get them nerves. They're just always going to be there. It's part of being a human. We
Yep.
all get anxious, or unless you take some beta blockers, but that's a different story. Like if you're overly prepared, them nerves go away.
Yeah, because you know
what I mean?
exactly what's coming. You know that, like, aside from me, maybe just like biffing apart, like, I got this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Like,
I would like to touch on that real quick before we wrap up too. I also want to say, like, we talk about practice, talk about all this consistency and everything. End of day, we're still humans. You're gonna make a mistake. So I think if you realize in your head before you even go on stage that you might make a mistake or two, I think you're gonna get a lot more enjoyment out of the overall performance instead of critiquing yourself all the way through and being like, I gotta be perfect. Like, yeah, you want to be good and perfect, but if you mess up a little spot or flub a little something, like, it's just part of the gig. It happens, Nobody's going to be perfect all the time. You know what I mean? And I'm sure even the shows that we've seen that were like, oh, that was flawless. I'm sure there's some little mistake in there that you didn't see.
For sure.
Or they're after, they're like, oh, man. And
but you're so preoccupied with the lights and the
Exactly.
crowd and like everything
so
else that makes a show a show.
I just want to, have your shit rehearsed, be really good, be the best you can be, but also understand that you're human and sometimes a little mistake might happen. That's held me back recently in performances because I want to critique every little fucking note, and I realized that, dude, whatever, we're just humans. I'm going to make a little mistake here or there. Like, I'm not perfect. Like, I don't just play guitar 24 hours a day either, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
totally. And that's another
so
thing.
I think just giving yourself a little slack, like, don't be a fuck up. And don't fuck up, like, have your shit, but like if you miss just a little artificial harmonic or just one little cymbal,
one little bell, you whiff on the bell.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all about recovery too.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
How quick can you recover, and can you just not do the stink face at your bass player when he fucks up? You know what I mean? Like, just ignore it and go, keep moving, because the crowd doesn't know.
Yeah,
guarantee.
I think if you put in a lot of work up front, the preparation. I'll take the stage and I'll say, man, I put in a lot of work getting to this point. So now I kind of take a breath and say, yet there will still be some mistakes.
Yes.
But knowing that I'm about to play a show is usually enough for me to be like just happy in the moment. But I also will default on, I've probably practiced this stuff better at home that I'm about to perform it, because that's a reality. It's like, because you can grind it at home and get it to like perfection, but then when it comes time to do the show, you kind of accept like, well, I'm probably not going to hit perfection like I did 2 days ago.
Right, when I'm sitting down in the comfort of my home.
Yeah, because
nobody watching.
Yeah.
And that was really nice, and that was crazy, and I couldn't believe how well I did it. But at least I got to that point at home, so that when I get to the stage, I'm like that much closer to the perceived perfection that I want to give people in the audience.
Totally,
like,
that makes sense.
Like I will let myself feel that, okay, probably going to fuck up a thing or two, but at least we put in like hours and hours of work getting to this point.
Right.
Whereas on the flip side, you can get on that stage and be like, I am under-prepared. Like, this is going to...
That's a terrible feeling.
This is going to go
terrible feeling.
really poorly for me. I'm going to have to turn back the volume a little bit. Just turn it down a little bit. Like, you got no bass in the mix? That's fine. We're good today. We got the drummer. We're fine. We don't need drum. We don't need bass. It's fine.
And I have to be prepared because it's the drums. It's very glaring when drummers make mistakes.
Very
you know what I
glaring.
mean?
That's
Like,
why I fucking hate all drummers.
It's the worst.
Except you, Daine, because we've never played in a band together.
Yep. Still be friends.
That's why no one wants to play with me, Daine.
Never let me down.
Because he hates all
Yeah, he
drummers.
hates all drummers. Just kidding. I need a drummer. But I was just going to say real quick on the recovery before you wrap the whole thing up here. You know, you make a mistake, and then if you dwell on that mistake, you're going to make more mistakes.
It's just fucking
so that's
up,
part of
man.
the recovery thing, too. I think that's a big thing for musicians when you get on stage. You might make a little mistake. That's cool. Move on. Try not to make any more mistakes if possible, but don't like fucking be like, I made the mistake.
Right.
Everybody's watching me. I fucking suck.
Yeah.
And then you start making a bunch of mistakes
Right,
because you're so
right.
worried about that one little fucking thing that nobody probably heard anyway. You know, fucking so.
Totally.
And we're all like that. It doesn't matter. Nick and I come up, dude, fucking awesome show. And you're like,
I'm the worst.
Dude, we just watched Tunnel of Love play a few weeks ago. I did.
Yeah.
Go up to Jeremy after the show. Dude, that was fucking great. They were good. They sounded good.
Yeah.
It was the worst show I ever played. I'm like, fuck you, dude. Whatever. It sounded good. Shut up.
Shout out to Jeremy. Love that dude.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
Curmudgeon.
Curmudgeon ass Jeremy.
But we've all been there.
Oh, dude,
great
that is-
show.
Yeah. That is me. I've
Fuck
just
me.
recently leaned into like, I don't know, accepting that I did have an okay show. You know what I mean? Because nobody wants to hear you be like, oh, I fucking sucked.
Yeah,
I couldn't,
that's
you
the
know,
worst.
like,
Just say thanks,
just
man.
say thanks, dude.
It's the worst.
Thanks.
Yeah, no.
Now, if it's a homie, I can have serious conversation. You know, we have
Right.
a different, like, we can get to different places
Right.
with that.
Yeah.
We can talk about like
Yeah,
what wrong,
also-
maybe things that weren't our fault, but still went wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
or you know, like, yeah, I seen you miss that little part, but
Yeah,
that's cool. It's
but that's
whatever.
cool.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm a musician too.
Yep,
Like,
I get it.
Like 5 years ago, I was in that space where like, I better not see anybody fuck up ever. I kind of like it when we watch Mouthful of Locusts and the thing came unplugged and then they got cut off. It's like, for me as a musician or whatever, like I love that, like, being human aspect of music. Like we see some band like BT Bam, flawless, fucking perfect. Like you could put it on record and they could sell it a bunch of copies.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's how good it is or whatever. But sometimes that fuck up shit is fun too.
Totally.
Like just accepting it. Like it's gonna happen. Who cares, dude?
Yep.
Whatever.
It's
Like
fucking rock and
shit's
roll,
gonna
baby.
come unplugged.
Yeah.
Fucking the PA's not gonna work correctly or whatever. Like you can't dwell on that kind of stuff, man. You got to just give
You got to
it your
keep it
all.
moving.
Yeah.
You got to keep it moving.
So
I got it.
Go ahead.
Unless you're going to wrap it up, I got a couple more things.
please
All right.
go ahead.
Daine-
Unless Dane's got a. I didn't ask
gotta
if
go?
you had any kind of hard out or anything.
No, I just
so.
got a beat of the pyramid scheme at 5:30. I
Okay.
think.
We'll get you there.
Yeah, we'll get you there.
Cool.
We'll get you out of here soon.
Daine, are you familiar with Batman, the
Yeah.
Joker?
Yeah.
You seen the Dark Knight series?
Yes.
Heath Ledger?
Yep.
All right, so as the Joker, Heath Ledger says, if you're good at something, never do it for free. How do you feel about that as a musician? First of all, you have to say to yourself, I actually am good. And that's something a lot of musicians maybe won't do.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like, hey, if you're going to be a career musician and we're saying I'm good enough to be a career musician, maybe not do it as free so often, or maybe not take every friend's offer to jam. Whereas, no, I should be at home, you know, knuckling up on these 100 cover songs that are going to actually make me better.
Correct.
So your thoughts on that sentiment? If you're good at something, never do it for free.
I know some people out there that I've played with that will not do a show unless it's X amount of dollars, right? I don't live like that, dude.
Okay.
I really don't.
Sure.
I have to, if I see that there's potential in this thing and I look ahead and I'm like, if I say yes to this and the money's not sweet, but I see the talent in this person or I see their vision and it makes sense to me, then I'm going to say yes no matter if, you know, I haven't done like a free show in a while aside from like the DIE stuff.
Okay.
I'm sure this MASH stuff, we got some shirts we're going to sell, but like that's going to be the same deal. It's not going to be making money, but those guys know that the other bands, are going to take priority over me launching fully into this MASH thing. But like, I don't share that sentiment of if you really, I get it.
Right.
I get it because of the friends and the people that I know that won't do shows for X amount of dollars. They usually get that money somehow, somewhere, but they're not, I want to play. And if me like being able to play a little more means that I take a couple bucks less on this other thing, then so be it. I really do love it. Like I said earlier, I'm so happy that I get to still play. And that,
so your perspective is altered in the sense that the payment isn't always needed to be in cash money. The payment could be in good times, memories, friendships, relationships,
possible future
networking,
connections. Yeah.
Fulfillment of just being an artist.
And being a reliable person and being a part of the community, dude. There's something about like having community with music. And when you're with the right people, dude, like you feel like an important part of fucking society in a way. Like you're doing this thing that not everybody can do. And like it or not, the 9-to-5ers can be like, oh, band thing, whatever. But like they're listening to music through their whole fucking day when they're getting in their car, when they're getting in the elevator, when they're at the coffee shop, and when they're watching their favorite Forensic Files show. Somebody made that music. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there is fucking music everywhere. All the things you love to do, all these music nerds made that happen.
Right.
Amen.
All of us.
Yeah. All of us music nerds made that shit happen. Yeah.
We did that. You're welcome.
We are part of all of that.
There's so many avenues besides being in a metal band or a rock band. Like there's just music's everywhere.
And that leads me to this question too. So if you want to make it as a working musician, say maybe broaden your horizons, what you play.
Yep. Like, I think that, especially as a drummer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like learn the shit that you don't maybe even like or you're not used to, but like the boom bap shit's gonna pay the bills more than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
it's
for
just unless you're that guy.
Yeah.
Which there's a million of those guys out there.
But a lot of those guys also, just to kind of expound on that a little bit or expand on that, those guys also, that might not be their only gig.
Yeah.
Unless you're way up there, that might be your gig, but you might be getting a few more calls too.
I've seen so many Reddit threads that are like, how do I make money as like a metal drummer? And like, besides session work, the dude's like, play other styles of music.
Yeah. Don't play metal should be answer one.
And don't get it twisted. Like I wasn't joking when I said we live like at the poverty line. Like we're doing, my kids don't want for anything, they have Nintendo Switches and iPads, but like I give them what they want. I don't need a whole lot, dude.
Right.
I got a car that gets me up and down the road.
Right.
Hopefully someday I can own a house. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but like right now I'm happy, man. I got kids. I'm playing drums. I don't got a lot in the bank, but like you said, you don't ever know when it's going to go.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to leave my kids with shit, but good memories.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to leave them with lessons learned, End
of day, man, it all comes down to just being fulfilled in what you love to do because you get this short amount of time on this fucking spinning dirt ball in this giant expansive universe and we don't even know where the fuck happens after this or if anything happens and we're just some weird fucking biological monkey with a fucking cell phone and fucking weird facial hair that fucking goes bald and shit. So might as well fucking do what you want to do when you fucking want to do it, bro.
Dude. Fucking right.
So with that being said, we'll close this off. I just want to say, dude, I fucking love you, dude.
I love you, man.
I fucking love you as a human.
Brother.
You're a great dude. You're an awesome drummer. Fucking you inspire me all the time to try to get better at what I do. And just knowing you all these years, just a friend that, friendships come and go. It's hard. You got a million people, acquaintances or friends, but you're just one of those guys that will get on the horn every month and 6 weeks, 8 weeks or whatever and just be like, hey, man, how's it going?
Exactly.
How's the fam? How are you doing? And you don't. As you get older, you don't have a lot of people in your life like that. So just know you are an important person in my life, bro. And I appreciate you, dude.
Same to you. I love you. I love everything you've done for the fucking metal community. You're a fucking insane guitar player. Someday we'll get there. It might just be another fucking 10 years, but we will jam again.
Yeah.
We will.
We got to jam sometime,
we will.
man.
We absolutely will, man.
We got to jam. I don't care if it's not metal, whatever it is, but we should jam someday. But yeah,
take that to the bank. You guys heard it here first. Hold us accountable.
But fucking with that being said, man, anything else, Nick? You good?
I think I got it all out there.
Okay. Cool. Appreciate you guys taking time, man.
Yeah, thank you for coming out, and we appreciate it. With that being said, keep it metal or not. Peace. Thank you so much for checking out the episode. Be sure to hit that like button and give us a share.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed our podcast today, please give it a rating on your streaming service to help us gain some exposure.
And if you really enjoyed the show, please give us a follow or hit that subscribe button and come hang out with us every week. And remember, keep it metal.